Welcome to the Big Week in Gaming podcast. And yes, it has been a big week in gaming. I'm integot for episode 35 on Sunday, the 14th of March, 2021. As always, I'm joined by the official P3 himself nominated and approved Xbox Hall of Famer and number one challenger to the mantle of the greatest Xbox RPG player in the world, Swinny.
Hello, Bigwiggers.
And the guy in the middle, the gamer anti-gamer, the sudden Harvest Moon and Story of Season history buff, Mike.
Hello.
In this week's show, we'll be discussing Microsoft sealing the Bethesda deal, PAX Australia moving forward and returning in physical form in 2021, and Mike reviews the latest Harvest Moon series game, Harvest Moon One World.
Wait, I'm doing that this week? I thought that was next week. Oh, crap. Let me get my Switch. You guys keep talking.
So as always, if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/c/bigwigpod. Follow us on Twitter, which is bigwigpod as well. And then if you are following us on podcast service, make sure you give us a review, 5-star rating. Anything else is unacceptable. I'll come at you. I'll find you. I'll track you down. I'll use my hacking skills. Anyway, let's jump into corrections as we normally do. Mike, do you have a correction this week?
No, not really. No. Wait. There was one thing, wasn't there? Yes. I gave Minecraft on Switch a bit of crap. Now, I don't know if that's because my memory was not serving me correctly, which is very much possible, because I do think I suffer from slight amnesia sometimes. But I said that the version that I played on the Switch didn't run very well when I played it ages ago. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but all I can say is I played it again straight after the podcast, and it was amazing. It ran really nicely. It played really well. So either they patched stuff or, yeah, I don't know what happened.
Never have I heard you care so much about something. You were like, oh man, can we quickly go make an edit to the show?
I felt really bad. So I seriously don't know. Maybe like it was glitching out of me or something when I played it way back when it first came out and stuff on the Switch.
I like how now you doubt your original story that you had.
I really doubt my memory. I swear to God, I doubt my memory. So all I can say is I played it a little bit on the Switch, and it's freaking amazing on the Switch. It's so cool.
I have what I term a correction. So for me, I still don't like the art style of the new Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection game. I am a huge fan of the original arcade Ghosts and Goblins, but I have watched a lot of gameplay of the game, and the game looks really good. I still don't like the art style, but the actual gameplay, the way it plays, the mechanics, everything, it looks really good. It looks like, I love the arcade game's brutality. Like, it was just a quarter sucker, and I never beat that game. It's so hard. But I might actually pick it up. It's so expensive though at the moment. It's like $45 Australian for that game.
That's
I think that's too much. I think that's a $25 to $30 game. But I'll keep an eye on it when it goes on sale.
Wait, did you say it's $45?
Yeah, Australian.
What the hell?
Yeah, so you're like with me. Like, that's too much. That's taking the piss a bit. But I
remember when like Xbox Live Arcade style games reached the like $25, $30 price point. Everyone's like, oh, well, I guess this is the norm now. And then suddenly, I know that those days are long gone, but $45, that's.
Well, I'll talk about a game that's $70 a little later in this.
Yeah, that's
and my
right.
thoughts as to whether it deserves to be a $70 game.
Maybe that's why you're so thrown off by the thing. Maybe we'll hand to you, Mike. What have you been playing this week?
Well, so obviously the number one thing that I've been playing, because I'm doing a review on it for Books, is Harvest Moon One World. I won't spoil anything because I'll do a bit more of a review towards the end of the show.
Bit of a
teaser.
Could be
a teaser.
Could be a new, highlight in the series. Could be competing against Stardew Valley. Who knows?
Could well be. It's not. It's absolute trash. But we'll talk about it a bit later. So that was the main thing that I've been playing, and I've been playing a little bit of LA Noire on the Switch, which is the superior version, regardless of what Sony says.
It's the official.
Having
Big
now
Wig.
played all of them.
Yep, two versus one. So it's the official.
One. Sorry, Swinny.
Edict. You're in this as well now, Swinny.
Yeah,
it's okay. I don't mind being the only one that's right sometimes.
No, really, it is. If we'll talk about it again in a future episode when we go into the details of that game. But I've played it now on all three. Well, yeah, three technically. So on Xbox Series X,
PC,
which Still run at 30 on PC.
That's the worst. That's egregious.
And on Switch. And Switch is by far the best for so many different reasons, including the fact that it wasn't just a plain old port. It actually has proper touch controls and stuff.
Have you hit the
which I think
slowdown
is
yet?
Really cool. Yeah, look, there are a few places where it was, but it's not distracting enough.
But did you find it weird that it slows the game down? It doesn't drop frames?
Yeah.
I thought that was weird to me.
Again, it's like it's seriously, if that's the thing that stops people from getting it compared to other consoles, it should not be. It absolutely shouldn't be. It's so many other positives about it compared to playing it on PC or on console that, yeah. Get it on Switch. So that was it. What about you guys? What have you been playing?
How about you, Swinny?
This week, it's been a bit of an interesting week. It's been a bit of a yin and yang. I don't know. Is that cultural appropriation these days? It's hard to tell.
I don't know, actually.
So it's a swing and swang. I don't know.
now I think that's cultural appropriation.
Swang.
I think just saying the words is not, but then you taking it, putting your own thing on it.
Like to have a swing and swang?
Yeah, that's now you put the Indian headdress on and go into the big day out. That's when it gets bad.
At least I haven't put on some other headdress and stormed the US Capitol or something.
Okay.
All right. So I finished off Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation. Yeah, cool. Whatever. It's done. It's done and dusted. That means for my New Year's resolution of all Assassin's Creed achievement completions on Xbox, I've got 2 games left, which is Rogue Remastered and Pirates. So I started Rogue Remastered, and goddamn, I love this game. Rogue is so cool. It's such a love letter to the series and to the fans as well. So not only does the game dive deep and provide really cool info about the series, all the series characters up to that point, but it provides it from the perspective of the Templars, no less. So you get this really, really cool take on that you didn't really know about some of the characters, like the main villain of the first part, and blah, blah, blah. And it connects Assassin's Creed 3, Black Flag, and Unity in a really, really cool way. So Rogue is probably the most underappreciated of the series, I think.
That's funny you say that because, obviously I listen, well, not obviously, but I listen to a lot of podcasts and I often hear Rogue being people's favorite, which that doesn't jive with, other sort of not official lists, but like Metacritic and all this other kind of stuff. But yeah, that's the one that a lot of people go, oh, this is like the best Assassin's Creed style Assassin's Creed game, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's really awesome. It's such a shame that it kind of got overshadowed by the whole Unity kerfuffle when that game came out because
that's wild.
We've said before, they came out the same day. Rogue came out for the 360 PS3 generation and Unity for the generation after.
Can I just ask quickly on that? Will that ever happen again? Where you have a franchise and it has 2 distinct games and they just go, okay, we're going to release it on the same day?
I don't know. I can't think of it. And they're huge games. They're both huge games. Rogue isn't some half-assed kind of people do talk about a bit of Black Flag 2.5, but that is doing it a huge disservice. It's, despite being built on the bones of Black Flag, it has such a different feel from the other games. It's almost like the Majora's Mask of the series. That's the way it feels when I'm replaying it. And it's like they took all the good elements of Assassin's Creed 3 and merged it into the framework of Black Flag. It's like the perfect blend. And honestly, by the time I go through it again and complete it all again, I may even feel like I need to do a 1.1 revision of my tier list because it will probably remind me of how good Rogue is.
You're going to do
Are you going to put Odyssey up or down?
No.
He's going to revise the tier list.
No, not again. Another tier
my
list.
idea is, right, that stands because that's
you can react to your tier list.
No, what I can do is just do
Odyssey? What an idiot.
No, what I'm thinking.
Put it as number one.
Hey, let me finish with my idea. So what I'm thinking I might do is say, hey, after replaying some games, I might just do an image update and put it as a comment, something like that. So I think that'd probably be hey, this is a 1.1, and maybe when the next Assassin's Creed game comes out, that's a way I could probably add on to that. So it's like a living tier list.
I think it's like our corrections every week. Opinions change, times change. We change our views on things when we get new information.
But before you move on, Swinny, I'm obsessed about this releasing games on the same day or roughly the same day, because that actually reminded me that Metroid Fusion and Metroid Prime released a day apart.
That's comparable, I'd say. Yeah.
But it's so insane. It's like it actually buried Metroid Fusion for a lot of people, which is a very, very good game. Not to me, it's the same quality level as Super Metroid, but yeah, it's just I don't know. Like, why would you ever think of doing that? It just really baffles the mind for me.
Yeah, there's obviously some thought process that goes into it, but I think history's shown us it's probably not the wisest way to do it.
No.
But the thing I really just want to just talk about, and this is going to be a bit of a rant, is as Divine Cross. So I planned on reviewing this game, and then I decided as I played through it that it's kind of hard for me to review a Kemco EXE Create game because they're so similar to each other that it's hard for me to balance talking about it as if this is the stuff that I expect people to know about these games, whereas obviously that's not what people listen to a review for, right? So I decided I'm not going to review it, but I just wanted to kind of just quickly just mention it here. So it's actually a very solid game, standard, honestly, EXE Create fare, bit more stripped back, less crap to worry about. It's actually a game that released quite a while ago, and it's been around on mobile for a while, but they kind of remade it with the newer engine and mechanics of EXE Create games. And so as a game, it's pretty standard, solid, nothing to scream home about, but not horrible. But for a completionist like myself, it's been a nightmare. So if anyone doesn't know, the Kemco published RPGs are very straightforward completions. They still take a while. They still take over 20 hours, most of them. This one I've spent at this point over 40 hours on it. I'm just and I still don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And so for that full completion, they require you to do 2 entire playthroughs, which is honestly not that bad because they allow you to skip the cutscenes dialogue the second time around, which is okay. But not only do you have to learn every single enemy skill in the game by getting them to hit a certain character, including in-game arena super boss moves, but this bloody training accelerator. So this is I mentioned that I really want to rant about something. So I didn't mention this particular thing to you guys, what happened to me. So picture this. So the training accelerator is this optional kind of end game thing where you can just fight monster after monster after monster. So it's basically a battle of one enemy at a time. Each time you defeat it, another one spawns from this box kind of enemy that's on the field. That doesn't really do anything except spawn monsters.
Mm-hmm.
You can get super unlucky. You can have 2 super bosses spawn one after the other. You can get one shot, all this crap. But that's actually not why I'm so pissed. The goal, by the way, for me is to clear 100 levels of this, so 100 enemies.
In one go, right?
Yeah, obviously. So basically you just kill one enemy, another one spawns.
Okay.
So I was finally going well. And I didn't know how far I was because you don't know, is this the 75th enemy, the 85th? You don't know, right?
You're not keeping a tally on your phone or something?
I'm not going to sit there each time I do this counting.
Hey, they have a lot of COVID counters now, so.
So basically, I was finally going well. So I killed the latest enemy that was there, and another one doesn't appear.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay, I keep doing my turns. I put on auto battle, I heal up, I buff, and I start attacking that box. Just nothing happens. No enemies.
Can I just take that clip out of context?
Anyway,
I heal up, I buff, I keep attacking that box. Go on.
So I was stuck in this hell and I left the auto battle on for 30 minutes and nothing happened. The game just bugged out. It wouldn't spawn in enemies. From what I can tell, I can't find anything about people saying they had a similar situation. And
I don't think many people are in your situation. So.
EXE Create games aren't buggy. You say what you want about them being RPG Maker, rinse, repeat, copy, paste games. They're not buggy. And so, all right.
Are they actually made an RPG Maker?
No, they're not. But that's a common.
But they have their own RPG Maker, right?
Pretty much.
Okay, be cool enough.
Yeah.
So, fair enough.
All right, so I killed myself because I at least wanted to see how far I got. I got to level 95.
Oh, no.
I was so pissed off because this is the last hard part I need to do in the game, and I was just I put the game down. I'm like, I'm not coming back to you for 2 weeks. I'm so pissed off.
Wow.
At this.
Can I just ask, Winnie?
I was just fucking pissed off.
They do have a reputation, right, for being a bit, of an achievo sort of dump, a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Do you think there's any validity to my theory that they've made this extra hard just so that they can always point to it and say, well, look at this one. This one doesn't have a very high percentage completion. We don't just make games that are easy.
This is the first game. Like, some of them had the odd tricky thing, but generally it's just a bit grindy. It's just like, okay, it's just going to take me a bit of time to sit here and leveling this weapon up.
There's so many things I can take out of context in this little spiel that you've had.
Anyway, I just wanted to rant about that. Bloody as divine.
That is rough, though. That is rough. I think if you knew it was 95, I would have just like waited longer and tried to.
I don't think it would have done anything.
Nothing was happening, man. Like, when I say auto battle, like each turn's taking like half a second.
Can you imagine suspend the game and resume it and I don't know, try to get it going again?
I just at that point I was just like,
that box got smashed too many times.
And there's only one person that's done the full completion in the world, yeah?
At that time, I haven't checked recently, but that just goes to show you how much more difficult this is than the other ones. By now, you would have had at least like 20 people complete it. So.
And how many more Chemco games have you got to complete?
No, I'm up to date. This is the newest one.
Oh, so you can do a tier list. You can do a tier list.
I can do a tier list.
This is trash tier automatically.
But what I'm going to do is because
he's so angry at it.
I'm probably going to do a tier list towards the end of the year because they release one each month. So,
but I think like no, I reckon it's better if you just do the tier list and then we do short videos of you adding to the tier list. And then we can do the annual re-tier list of Chemco games. We can dominate the Chemco tier list market.
That's a market a lot of people are interested in.
Man, anyway.
I like that. I think we should.
That's my week. How's yours been?
It's a great week.
Yeah, like I haven't played that many games, but I've been getting through Donkey Kong Country Returns because we'll be covering it in next week's show. So since episode 5, we've been running through the Donkey Kong Country series. Very slowly, obviously. It's like episode 35 now. I've got thoughts on the game. I'm really going to be interested to see what you guys say about the game next week as well.
Don't say anything. So I still need to get my hands on a Wii. I did get copies of the game, multiple copies of the game.
Yeah, you've got it on everything, but you don't have the consoles to play it.
This is exactly what happened with... This is kind of what happened with LA Noire, but not intentionally. I got it on Wii, and then I forgot that I put... not a bid, it was a buy now option thing on eBay on 3DS. And I totally forgot about it because the person didn't reply until the last second.
Oh.
It was like a 2-day bid thing, and then in the last second they agreed.
Oh, they accepted. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
And I forgot about it, so I'm like, whatever.
You got to get a good
that
price.
one too then.
I would have bought it off.
Oh yeah, I'm not, and it'll be cool to compare the two.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm hoping I can squeeze it in, or give it enough justice next week.
It's not like LA Noire. You legit. There isn't a definitive version of this game. Unfortunately, I feel like this game should come out on Switch because that could easily be the definitive version. Then the other one was, and this is just more that struck me. It's not worth a story or anything like that, and more to you, Swinny. But did you know? Because Halo Infinite is one of our, and this will very neatly segue into the next section. But Halo Infinite, I didn't realize it's a spiritual. This is their quote: spiritual reboot.
What? As in?
That's what they call it.
Scratch?
No. It's a spiritual reboot.
Which means...
Now, Swinny, can you explain that term to me?
What?
I think they're probably talking about it as they want this to kind of be, rather than thinking of like Halo 4, Halo 5, this is kind of like the next...
So it's a reboot, then, isn't it?
Restart
no, because the storyline continues on from a Halo 5.
That's what I think is so weird.
So it's not a spiritual...
But that's what I'm thinking they're talking about is, like, spiritual means that it's not really, but it's kind of in the vein of one. So I think that's what they're talking about. It's more, the series, from a gameplay standpoint, we don't want this to be... it's not titled Halo 6.
I get it. So is it kind of like how Andromeda, you could argue, was a spiritual reboot of the Mass Effect series?
I'd say that's the comparable situation.
All right, cool.
But I just think it's a reboot then. I guess it's, I don't know. I hate this term spiritual reboot. I hope it doesn't catch on. I only noticed it. It caught my eye because they reiterated that it's a spiritual reboot recently. And the other one is, I think the way they've been drip feeding content around Halo Infinite is not working. Like, because they're doing monthly posts on it. They're just not really capturing attention with people. It's looking interesting, the game, but they need
people are pretty wary now, though.
But I don't think the marketing machine's gone hard on it yet.
No.
So I think when that happens, then I think people forget that they just drip fed this stuff. I think that's honestly just for the hardcore fans at this point.
I think you're right. I think the strategy internally is, hey, let's get some buyback from the hardcore fans. So that's why it's focused very much on the hardcore stuff of what they've changed. Yeah, this spiritual reboot, I don't know, it doesn't sit well with me. I guess you could even argue God of War is a spiritual reboot because it is actually connected with the series, but it's
Totally
also a
different
bit of a
game.
reboot. I hate this term
There's
spiritual reboot.
There's heaps of examples you could throw out there, but I mean, honestly, I don't know if that term's going to catch on.
Oh God, I hope not. It's strange. Spiritual successor or sequel is great, but yeah, not spiritual reboot. But
It's not a sequel either. So.
no. But talking about Microsoft, let's jump into our headliner. So Microsoft seals the Bethesda deal. So after all the checks and balances, regulator approval, lots of interest,
Shady backroom dealings
from the EU, the US, Bethesda is now officially, and ZeniMax is officially part of Microsoft.
Nice.
This is actually, I know people feel like it's very slow, but this is a really quick acquisition. It's about 6 months, so September 2020 when it was announced, given that it's a multiple billion dollar acquisition. This means that Microsoft now, along with all the other sort of Microsoft first-party studios, they have id, Arcane, Tango Work, GameWorks, Bethesda Game Studios, obviously, and from an IP perspective, it's just almost ridiculous with the Elder Scrolls Fallout, Doom, Wolfenstein, Quake, Starfield, Evil Within. It's just insane, and there's other ones that we haven't even mentioned.
Some really good, strong IPs in that, yeah.
And you know, I think they did a really great job, and we'll talk about it now. Is just with the roundtable and you know, jumping in straight away with exclusivity and what it means on the next platform. So, Swinny, like, you know, Phil Spencer, it was the first question he was asked from an exclusivity point of view. Number one, what did he say? And then number two, what do you think it actually means and what that translates into with games like Starfield?
So basically, he upfront said, you know, they have existing responsibilities to, you know, multi-platform titles, whether or not they're contractual obligations before they acquired Bethesda or just support for existing games, just like the situation with Mojang and Minecraft and all that stuff. But he then essentially said that, you know, and this is a quote from him, that gamers should know that Xbox consoles, PC, and Game Pass will be the best place to experience new Bethesda games, including some new titles in the future that will be exclusive to Xbox and PC players. So now that they can talk about this stuff, because, you know, and they in the roundtable are very clear that they couldn't really talk much because, you know, legally, you know, they
it would be totally illegal for them to talk.
Yeah. So
like,
so now that they were very ambiguous before, but now it is much clearer. It's not still 100% clear, but it's pretty much saying that, you know, the new titles will be exclusive to platforms that have Game Pass on it. So take that from
But not all the new titles, just some of the new titles.
That's pretty much, I think, the message from this is that these titles will be coming to platforms with Game Pass.
Well, and I thought that was so fascinating that he didn't alliterate it as Xbox and PC, Game Pass, blah, blah, blah. But it's almost like, to me, and maybe I'm going way too deep into it, but to me it felt like almost like a bit of a jab at Nintendo and PlayStation, and maybe even Apple, kind of going, well, if you want these games on your platform, let us have Game Pass on your platform.
Exactly. That is 100% what I take this from. And I think that's fair. I think that's actually a really fair kind of balance with this. I don't think PlayStation would ever allow Game Pass on there, but I could be proven wrong. But I think that's kind of almost like they could essentially, you know, I don't know if it makes business sense, but they could have these completely exclusive, not put on PlayStation, like Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 and whatnot. But that's almost like an olive branch there, you know.
Yeah,
that would also make an olive branch with leaves of money on it, because obviously, you know, if they got Game Pass on PlayStation user base, that would be ridiculous.
I genuinely couldn't imagine almost any scenario where Game Pass would be on PlayStation. That would be honestly, it'd be the most shocking game news that I'd ever have seen.
Purpose of it,
yeah.
Just from a strategy point of view, it makes zero sense. It makes negative sense, but I do see a world where it goes on Nintendo, just because the kind of games that are coming out on Game Pass, yes, there is a crossover with, you know, games that you can purchase on Nintendo's platform, but especially with the innovations around xCloud, or, you know, game streaming as it's just called now in the States, that's where, like, Nintendo, if they can get a cut of that revenue, which they would have to, I could really see a world where it makes sense. Like that's a nice complementary product for Nintendo versus, like on PlayStation it makes no sense.
So I just quickly about the roundtable itself.
Mhm.
This, to me, this was a very, very mixed presentation for me. So they had a whole bunch of people there from the Bethesda side and Xbox side, and I loved hearing from the studios. About halfway through the roundtable, they then start covering. They go and they speak to key people from Arcane,
Yeah, I
and
like that part.
Bethesda, and id, and that was really, really good because it was very much. It was almost like an internal kind of roundtable. Like they were talking so much about the internal relationships between studios. But the other part of it was just very masturbatory for me.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, this is so good.
That's one way of
Xbox is
putting
so
it,
good.
yeah.
Game Pass is so good. And I got sick of it.
You
No,
got
you
off
didn't.
first.
We all know
That was
you're
the
the
No,
Xbox
trust me.
shill. You loved
No.
it. You're like,
Hey, you project that on me. I'm not a
hey,
at
I'm
some
not the
point-
one with green on my face cam thing.
But no, at some point I
You're
was
the
like,
one that looks like an
okay,
Xbox.
all right, this just feels just really like it's a big deal. I'm not saying it's not a big deal, and they have cause to brag about it, but it just was a bit like Phil Spencer. Outside of Phil Spencer, I think everything he said was great, but everything else also just felt super rehearsed as well. So it just didn't feel very natural. Whereas
of course.
Phil Spencer's there just feeling like the most naturally speaking person of the group, like he's not a robot, But other than that, look, I thought it was good. And they also mentioned that, and I have a bit of an issue with the way they message this, but it's fair that 20 Bethesda games are now available across Game Pass.
Yes.
And pretty much so many places reporting there's 20 new games in there. It's 12 new games, but the way they messaged it was there's now 20 now available in Game Pass, which is awesome.
In total,
I'm not going to
yeah.
complain about it. So
No, that's
They
pretty
should have
sweet.
taken them
And-
off Game Pass for one day and then brought them
And then
back
put
on.
them back on. Exactly, yeah.
we'll cover the actual full list in the bargain bin.
Yeah.
And they're also planning to add FPS boost support for I think 5 of them.
Exactly.
Which I'm really excited about. Prey and especially Dishonored Definitive Edition, because I bought that game full price on Xbox One and was so pissed. And I didn't do my research. It's my problem, my fault, that it wasn't running at 60. I was like, why is this game not
I
running
like
at 60?
this is your quintessential example of a game that you hate that wasn't 60 and you don't understand why.
Dishonored is like, it's just like, man, why? So if that's running at a solid 60 with that FPS boost, then it actually will get me to go back and play the game. So
And just talking about length, and like we probably can't judge too much given that we have podcasts that run well over 3 hours. But yeah, the event was way too long. Like I was always going to watch the whole thing. Obviously, we talk about it on the show. But as a general punter, like it's very strange, this roundtable. It felt very inside baseball, very almost more for the games media in a weird way than even for people who will follow it on games and media, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, of course they should have shortcutted it, but I mean it is a huge thing.
Oh, yeah.
In the industry, so I can kind of see why. And there were a lot of people involved in a lot of studios, and you can't just brush through them and go, oh yeah, and this person, this studio, we don't really care about them enough to even put them on screen. So I feel like they had to go that length, if that makes sense, just because of how many studios are involved, how many people, would have wanted to talk about stuff. So it was inevitable it was going to be that
Maybe,
length.
but I still think you can make it more punchy. And like really like the biggest announcements are the exclusivity stance. And I do want to loop back to it because I know we got your take on it, Swinny, but we didn't get your take, Mike, or my take. But I just felt that the biggest announcement was that. And then also, hey, we're going to have a summer event, which I mean, like, come on, of course you're going to have a summer event. But it felt like very much a 30 to 40 minute event that went for like 75 minutes from memory, which is really long for something like this. But
Yeah, it didn't really bother me.
just
I
quickly
thought it was
looping back to the
interesting
exclusivity, Mike, because I think I'm kind of wrong about it. I said that I think some of these major games will be timed exclusives. So, stuff like Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6, I feel like it will be on Xbox and then 18 to 24 months later it'll come out on PlayStation. I don't think that's the case now, listening to what Phil Spencer said.
So my takeout is that some stuff will become exclusive, not all stuff that as the combined studio.
Sure.
Combined studios.
But let's talk about the big games.
So stuff like the big games, I don't know. I think I think in some ways they might be shooting themselves in the foot if they completely exclude all the other platforms for something like Starfield, as an example. Will they get enough, sales of Xboxes and people justifying Game Pass to counteract all the losses they would make not being able to sell it on PlayStation?
Well, it's interesting when you see
I don't know.
the initial numbers of what platform Skyrim sold the most on. Like Xbox 360 was by far the most, and then eventually PC overtook. So, and I don't know if part of that is because at the time, PS3, I don't think the version of Skyrim was on PS3. The PS3 at launch was very good. So I think maybe that might have had something to do with it, because I don't know. I had a feeling in that generation a lot more people had both consoles, if that makes sense.
I was just showing my copy of Skyrim on 360.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think you're right, Sweeney.
Yeah.
But I think one big thing, Mike, is like the halo effect it has. Because I know Sweeney hates this as the Xbox shill of the podcast, but like genuinely, and I looked at it analytically and objectively, and I just look at the Xbox One and the lineup, and I'm like, it just doesn't have games to compel me to go, why would I get it? Whereas
I was going to mention that too. It needs something.
I had a PS3 and an Xbox 360. Not that I played it that much. Like I played it a bit, but each platform had a suite of exclusive games that gave a halo to the whole platform. And I think when you have Doom 3, in terms of the spiritual reboot of the series, you have Doom 3, and then you have Elder Scrolls 6, and you have Starfield, and whatever else is going to be coming out. That becomes a bit of a halo around the Xbox Series X, where you're like, okay, like that's a pretty good lineup, and you can only play it there or on PC versus PlayStation 5. You won't win on the sales of those games in particular, but do you win overall?
Well, I think it's a balancing act. It's having enough to have clear IPs that draw people to that particular platform, but also not completely alienating the market, of which there is more than just Xbox. So
I think we need to also stop really thinking about the console standpoint. Like, this is all about Game Pass.
That's true.
So I think that's what they want. They just that's why they went so hard on this dual PC.
That's a good point.
So.
Although every time you say that, the games I want to play on Game Pass are only available on console. Like, no joke. I don't know if New Vegas is on PC or not. I'm dumb. I don't know.
So
I don't think it is.
I think the reason why New Vegas isn't in Game Pass is because I think they
no, it's not on Game Pass.
PC.
For PC.
Yeah. So that's what I meant.
It is for console.
Is because I think there were probably quite a few issues with that game, and they probably had issues trying to get that on the Windows Store in its form that it's.
But you can get it super cheap anyway through.
But it sounds like it's not a good PC game. So.
Well, no, I think they just. That's what I think a lot of people have said. The reason why that potentially isn't the case.
Okay.
So
I don't know. I always find it that I can't, or like I don't get in the xCloud beta program for Australia. It's like, I've got iOS device.
I think it's time.
Maybe you stopped insulting them on the show every week.
Yeah, there's also that. You're probably on Phil's blacklist. He's got a little black book. I have to say,
it would be
just trolls the internet.
It'd be so funny if they did blacklist me. I wish they told me. That'd be really funny.
You won't hear about it.
No, I would never hear about it.
You just never get invited to anything.
So no, it was a good event. Like I kind of just to round it up. Like I thought it was a really cool event. It actually did get me energized for Xbox, to be honest.
It did.
Not that I'll buy one, but I was like,
One really quick thing I was just going to add before we finish the segment is what I really liked is how they touched on the collaboration between the studios. So having the events where they can showcase each other's work and where they can go to each other for inspiration. And I think that's freaking awesome. That is probably actually, out of all the things that were said, the thing that stuck in my mind the most. This really cool idea of being able to collaborate with the other studios for ideas. Work, help on the engine, of anything. It sounds so cool to be able to do that.
I've got a prediction.
Go on.
I think we're going to see Quake. Like not a Quake Legends or anything like that. I think we're going to see new Quake. I think we're going to see new Quake.
It's so funny you said that. All the way through the presentation, because I am a huge fan of Quake. I'm obsessed about Quake. I love Quake so much. And Quake's almost two series. You've got like Quake 1 and that whole kind of like style, and then you've got Quake 2 with that style, and it feels like two series in one. It's quite weird, and I love that about Quake as well. But yeah, I was like hanging for just a sure, I still want multiplayer if it's Quake, obviously, but I just want a single player Quake experience that's of the level of like a Doom.
And I think it will come from id. It sounds weird.
Dude, you're getting me excited here.
I think it sounds weird
Quake
to say that because you
2021.
think, oh, of course, but then like Machine Games is doing Wolfenstein. I think it will come from id. I think that will be the next thing they do.
So because they're finalizing the last DLCs for Doom Eternal, which by the way don't seem to be going that well because everything I hear about it, Doom Eternal is quite difficult, and the DLC is just like another level of difficulty above that. Like I'm talking way past Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Like people are
that bad.
No,
Wow.
no, dude, people are bailing and they're like very good at the game. They're like, this is freaking impossible, the DLC.
Okay.
I was reading that apparently, because I haven't played Doom Eternal, but apparently they're adding a really cool like HUD that's closer to the crosshair, and they're actually saying it's like that once you use this, it'll be so hard to go back. So it'd be cool to see what they're doing, like adding that to Doom Eternal. And some updates.
That's actually really smart if they integrate it into the crosshair itself. Yeah, that whole series and id, we've got to talk about them one day. Like the revitalization of that studio is like one of the greatest second acts I've ever seen in a game studio. It's just incredible.
It really is, yeah.
From like, I know, and we'll talk about Doom 3 one day, but yeah, just the journey from that and to get to Doom 2016 is just incredible, really. But yeah, look, Microsoft, very, very good deal. Very smart. Very excited to see the summer event. And hopefully we'll see Starfield shortly. I think, then find out where it's going to go. And if it's only on Game Pass and on Xbox and also PC only, which would be interesting. All right, let's get into our next segment, sorry. So, much to probably the amazement of our US and European listeners and viewers, PAX Australia is coming back this year in physical format in October. So the organisers, Reed Pop, have announced that this Wednesday that the event will be back. There will be obviously restrictions to some degree. They'll be observing whatever capacity is allowed at the event itself. So I don't think we'll be seeing a PAX as full as it was 2 years ago and prior to that. The event is scheduled on the 8th of October through to the 10th of October in the Melbourne Convention and Exhibition Centre in Victoria, my home state. Not that I live there anymore. And the good thing that they're doing as well is they'll be refunding any tickets if, for whatever reason, there's COVID-19 restrictions. So if Melbourne goes to another like third or fourth lockdown, then yeah, they'll refund the tickets, which I think is just
Third or
sensible.
fourth. Aren't we up to like the fifth?
I don't know.
Now?
You guys are getting a bit out of control, but thank God that it's all under control at the moment. So the PAX expert on the panel, Mike.
Yeah.
Number one, are you excited about this? Expert. Are you nervous about this? Are you?
So look, I wouldn't say I'm excited. No, mixed. So I went to PAX back in 2013. I think it was I think it was the first one that actually came to Australia, and it was pretty cool. But it was a bit rough in terms of too many people being crammed into the place. They obviously didn't cater, size-wise on some of the panels that they had to be able to get people in. So I missed out on a ton of stuff that I wanted to do. You'd line up and you just couldn't get in. And it ended up just being just a way to catch up with people and, sort of see a few things here and there. I think they fixed that from what I heard in subsequent years, which is obviously a great thing. But, personally, it kind of just left that little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. If that makes sense. Just because it tainted that very first experience that I had. Now, in saying that, it was also an awesome experience because I got to meet a whole bunch of people. I used to be somewhat active, mildly active on a certain website back then called Kotaku. And I did, get to meet a lot of the people that I'd be chatting to on a daily basis in person, which I think was awesome. And, I still keep in touch with some of those people to this day, which is really cool. So I think the event is fantastic, and we don't really have anything like that in Australia. And the cosplay was really cool. I remember I sent you guys a whole bunch of pics of was actually, here's the thing, something you can't do this year, and you probably won't be able to do for many years to come, if ever again. Giving hugs to random people and stuff like that. Like there's a whole bunch where I've got my arms around MasterChef and I've got.
MasterChef.
Sorry, I'm going to keep calling him that. I've got my arms around a what was it called, like that Energizer battery
Booth
and
Girls.
Batman and Booth Girls and whatnot.
Booth Girls are banned now, aren't they?
I don't know.
Hmm.
Probably.
So you're using booth girls. Booth babes was the term that you
Oh, well, I'm trying to
I
like
don't know
soften
what-
it a bit.
I don't know what the term
But
is.
that was the term
Yeah.
because it's alliterative, you know.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe I'll apply to be one. I'll just put a dress on, and I can be like
Borat,
a booth
Mankini.
babe,
Booth Borat.
Mankini, Borat, Mike
Booth
guy.
bollocks.
So look, in saying all that, I think I will absolutely go this year. So when tickets become available, I will go. Assuming, of course, you guys go as well.
You know, because I'm interstate. For you guys, it's just like, oh, go, yeah, no,
Yeah,
whatever.
not quite as easy
Yeah.
as that, but yeah.
For me, I need to book flights and things like that. I won't be able to drive down. And then flights, it always makes me nervous with the COVID restrictions. Just how many friends from Sydney are trying to go back to Melbourne and then they get their tickets cancelled, the flights cancelled at the last minute, or can't
That's
get
a
out,
problem, yeah.
which is
Yeah.
probably worse in my case.
And I don't know if you get refunded for that kind of stuff. You'd probably be able to get.
You do, but getting back, like some people got stuck in Melbourne with the last lockdown. So
Well, there's a few problems though, because so first of all, there's only, as you said, 10,000 attendees per day that can go into it, which isn't a huge
that we know of now. Like who knows
number.
by October, right?
Well, it might change, but there'll potentially definitely be some restrictions, which I think will mean there'll be limited tickets to begin with in that sense. And secondly, with the flights, you've got a bit of a difficulty because they might actually cancel the event, but they might not cancel flights.
Yeah.
So you'll just have to come hang out. And,
Yeah, I will. Look, I'm super keen. If you're
Chill at
definitely
my
going to
place.
go, I think if I'm
I'll
going,
go if you go, and you'll go if I go. So I think we'll go.
I don't see a scenario where you just wouldn't go because I think we're about the same level in terms of, you know, the virus and like our, you know, protection and all that kind of stuff. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I use protection, but I'm not scared of it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Practice safe virus.
Hey, Mike, out of interest, how much, what did it cost back in 2013 to go to PAX?
I actually don't remember. Something like $55 comes to mind, but I bought my ticket on the black market.
What?
As in, I missed out on the initial batch,
What?
and then I went on Gumtree, and I had to get a ticket off Gumtree.
Oh,
but the
wow.
guy gave it to me at cost price. So I was in Sydney at the time, and I met up with him somewhere in North Sydney from memory, and he gave it to me at cost price, which was really cool of him. So he wasn't scalping or anything. Which was
That's
awesome.
good. That's good.
And
I've actually done that before. I don't know why. I should have made money.
The whole scalping
He's
thing.
a respectable
I just
scalper.
hate that shit.
It's not scalping if you're not making money. What do you mean respectable scalper?
He
let
gave
me
it to me
have
at
my
cost
say.
price. He was awesome.
I think a respectable scalper is you add maybe 10% on, 15% on. That's a respectable scalper.
Well,
Give
I
me a
guess
bit of
yes,
juice.
because,
Give me a bit of
because oh yeah, to be fair, since we're talking about it, yes, I guess because you got to take time out of your day, potentially out of work. You got to spend half an hour meeting up with someone or whatever it takes, going to a particular location, etc. So yeah, okay, fair enough. You got to get paid for your time. But if people are asking 2, 3, 5 times the amount because of demand, I mean, they have every right to ask for it if they want. Assuming it's it's a legit, they can't go anymore because their partner is sick or something, or their dog had an injury or whatever. But if it's they bought 20 tickets and are trying to resell them in the last minute, knowing that there's going to be demand for it, that's just scummy.
So what's the question, Swinny? This is leading somewhere.
What do you mean?
Are you talking about the prices? Were you talking
That
about
was
what?
my question.
Ah.
How much
Yeah,
they
I don't
offered?
remember. I think it was 55, but don't quote me on that.
that's
It's just
that's
for
fine.
whatever reason it comes to mind. Yeah.
I'm just actually also interested. I know they've just announced it, and they'll start to give more information as they plan things because this stuff takes a while. But what are they going to do with the stations set up to play games? Are they going to sit there wiping down the controllers each time? And I know that at this
Maybe
point, Melbourne's in a very good spot. And by then, you'd hope that our vaccination program has picked up a lot of speed because it's going very slow at the moment. I'm interested to see how that stuff plays out because just every thought in my head, and I've never been to a PAX or obviously an E3, every thought in my head is just crowds of people packed together. And we know that, I'm going to throw a bit of shade here on gamers, we're all gamers, that it's not probably, I'm not going to say that I'm
Abuse
going
the
to trust
audience.
the hygiene of everyone going to PAX. That's all.
Dude, no, but
I shower daily. Thank you very
And
much.
I say that I'm into wrestling. I say that about them more so,
we're all very good with the hygiene, but you're right, and that also happens with the Smash community. And I know the Sydney Smash community,
I think it happens with the average person on the street.
because
to
of
be honest.
everything. Nah, it's particularly bad. No way, dude.
You're
No
right.
way.
Okay.
If I go to a random supermarket, sure, there's one person or whatever. If I go to like those type of events, I barely have a sense of smell. I learn again that I have a sense of smell when I go to those events.
Yeah, but they're a lot more
Right?
packed as
No,
well.
no,
than
dude.
a
You're
supermarket or
defending
something.
them. I've
Really?
been to conventions for business.
Okay.
Zero.
I'm sorry,
Zero
smell.
smell.
Gamers. I'm trying to defend you here.
You should
These
avoid.
two people are
You're the
saying we're all
gaming
filthy
anti-gamer.
animals.
You should
be-
avoid.
I'm the pro anti-gamer gamer.
You should avoid independent wrestling shows as much as possible throughout your life. Into it.
So looking at the 2019 prices, it was 65 a day or 170 for a 3-day pass, but that is early bird pricing as well. I can't see how they would charge less, given that the costs will still be astronomical. So I wouldn't be shocked if they
plus
charge
there's
more,
less-
maybe 200 for the
Less
3-day
people
pass.
that can attend, I
Correct.
think. So,
Yeah,
because they
correct.
can't cram as many. So the prices will probably go up.
I don't think it can go up crazy amounts. So I'd probably expect it to be like 220 at max for the 3-day pass.
Balancing act, I guess.
But I'll definitely go. Like, we should actually buy the ticket straight away, Mike, because it's just, if you're gonna go,
they'll go quick. Yeah.
Exactly. Shit, I should buy flights actually, because the flights will go as quickly as well, right? This is a whole
maybe-
logistics effort for me.
Yeah,
man.
it's a massive logistics effort, yeah. But we are getting cheap flights at the moment, so
Yeah.
See if we can
Okay.
line it
Maybe.
up,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll check that. And Swinny, where do you land on it? Are you going or not?
It's a bit of a wait and see for me. I'd like to go, but I kind of want to
not a
see how
believer.
they're going to approach that. Things I just asked about. How they're going to
Well,
handle these stations.
I
Are they not
have
going to have?
some-
Are they not going to have stations there? to
No,
play
I've got
games?
insider info on that.
Ooh.
So, yeah. So I spoke to my mate Phil, who apparently donated a bunch of Kinect devices for people to use. So all you can do is play Kinect games.
You idiot.
PAX Connect.
You idiot.
Good way to revive the brand, I suppose.
No, look, I'm excited by it. I think it's going to be cool. I'm glad that, we're kind of getting back to a normalcy. But yeah, I don't
until
think.
the next lockdown.
Well, yeah, I don't think you can rely on the vaccine rollout in Australia because it's not going that well compared to the States or Europe. All right, let's get into our next bit of news. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge is being announced. So if you haven't already, make sure you do yourself a favor and watch this trailer. So it is a classic arcade-style Turtles beat 'em up, announced this week, being developed by Tribute Games. So they're the ex-Ubisoft devs who worked on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I don't know why. I think it's because of the .emu connection for the publisher that a lot of people think this is the team behind Streets of Rage 4. I've heard heaps of people say that. They're not the same people.
And I mean, they also made the well-received Flint Hook as well. So.
Yeah, and also TMT on Game Boy Advance, from memory, which was also well received. Given that it's Turtles, it's a 4-player co-op game, much in the vein of the arcade game and Turtles in Time, and also Hyperstone Heist, which we don't talk about given that was on the Mega Drive.
I actually think that's the best of them.
Yeah, I'm just seeing your notes, Smitty. I didn't actually know that there's a... Is this real?
Yeah,
You want to say it? Yeah.
Yeah, so the trailer, the Turtles theme is actually sung and I guess recreated by Mike Patton.
What?
That is pretty
Mr.
cool.
Bungle,
Yeah.
which is wild. Like when you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, now I can hear it's Mike Patton.
I got to watch it again now.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like,
Can I just say about the trailer quickly? Like, this trailer, to me, this is how you do trailers, people. This is exactly how you do trailer. It is like a 10 out of 10 trailer. This is an S-tier trailer, right here. It was just like, I've not heard one person say a bad word about this trailer. If you're a kid of the 90s, growing up in the 90s, this is just going to hit everything, but then also be different.
And it had everything in it.
It's going to be different
It had-
as well, which is great.
It had, CG, so to speak. It had gameplay.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Ticked
It's
a lot
awesome.
of boxes. Cool music.
And now that
really
that
cool.
I know it had Mike Patton, so Swinny and I are massive fans.
Now it's an S+ tier.
Fans of Mike Patton. Having seen him live multiple times, he is crazy, that dude. He is such a performer. That's awesome.
I'm so pumped for this. The Turtles in Time reshelled remake that they released, quite a few years ago, was not well received, and this is to me the way you bring back Turtles games, and
Yeah.
I know there's been plenty of Turtles games in between, but this is what people want. I think now they haven't specified what consoles. I'm assuming it's going to be for everything, including Switch. But it's just I just really hope, because sometimes they don't do it, that they have online multiplayer, because sometimes
they'll have online.
you say that there's times when these beat 'em ups don't have it. We can't assume that.
No, I 100% understand what you're saying, but this game, given who's making it, Scott Pilgrim just got online as well. Like it's gonna happen. Like that'd be insane.
I'm expecting it will, but I'm just saying that if that would be a stupid decision if they didn't include online goal.
That would be a devastating decision for them. Like, I genuinely think this game is going to be massive. If you actually watch really carefully the trailer, there's so many little nods to Turtles in Time and the other games in the series that it looks like they put a lot of love and care, and they obviously love the genre. These guys. I hope we all get it. It'd be really cool. The question for me won't be online play. It will be, is there cross-platform play? That's the bigger thing.
I'd love that, but I mean, I can't see that happening.
But that's always going to be our challenge, because you always want to play on Xbox for Achievos. I don't have an Xbox.
I don't care about achievements
because
it's
not an RPG, so you'll play on whatever.
And also, if this doesn't come out on Switch... Man, they are missing a trip.
A perfect game for the Switch. But you know what? There's other games that I'm like, why?
If this doesn't come out on Switch, I'll eat part of a hat.
Okay. No, I'm not giving you my hat. I like my hat.
Okay, we'll say it like this, Swinny. Within a year of this game coming out. So whenever it comes out, the first platform, if it doesn't come out on the Switch
within a year, it's got to be at launch.
No.
Why are you giving him a whole year?
You got to be fair, because you said doesn't come out on the Switch. You need to have the time.
Yeah, okay.
And a lot of Switch releases actually they get stuff later sometimes.
Correct.
So,
okay, correct.
But you got to swallow. Okay, this isn't just not just chewing.
Oh my god,
you got to swallow. All right.
This is the rare time that Mike doesn't mean
this
double entendre.
That's how confident I am that this game will come to Switch. That I'm going to eat part of a hat.
I do think there's a chance it will be delayed on the Switch. Unfortunately, it seems to just always be happening. But this game,
well, he's got a year, so
and
we get to choose the hat.
I like how I mentioned it, and straight away Integot's like, "Okay, this is the requirements.
Well,
this is the criteria."
I know you guys are terrible at. Well, you're not so bad, Swinny, but Mike is terrible at setting goals. So I'm just trying to teach.
Yeah, and making bets. Yeah, I'm really bad at that.
We do need to go over the resolutions.
I'm not so bad.
It's coming up to 3 months, and I'm having a crack at everyone. Everyone's getting a crack.
I'd like to think I'm good. We're not going to talk about it now because we're already running long.
Okay.
Yeah. Next episode, let's do it.
Yeah. So this, super looking forward to it. Kind of strange that they have neither released platforms or even timing of this game, but you'd imagine it's going to come pretty quick. And it's a 2D art style mixed with a bit of 3D style. So very cool. Very, very cool. Speaking of nostalgia, we get our first look at the new Pocky and Rocky game. So this is the first footage from the sequel to the classic. Well, actually, Swinny, it's not really the sequel, right? Because there was a Pocky and Rocky 2 from memory.
So, it's sequel to the series. Sequel to the series.
Okay.
Is it a spiritual reboot?
Yeah, I guess it is, right?
So it's interesting. This is a very Natsume episode because this is a Natsume game. Who would have thought?
Well, do you want to take this away, Swinny? Because I never was a fan of Pocky and Rocky on the SNES.
So I liked Pocky and Rocky, but I never beat it because just for whatever reason. I only played it on emulation, unfortunately. It's just never a game that just came across my path as a kid in physical form. But originally it was a Taito arcade release in, I put in my notes, 1968. That's meant to be 1986.
Okay.
And then,
I was like, wow, this is got a long history.
Rewriting gaming history.
Looks great for a pre-Space Invaders game. So later got 92 SNES release, which is probably the most well-known one, and it's known as Kiki Kai Kai in Japan, the series. So it's
a cool name.
It's a top-down co-op scrolling shooter, so in the style of Commando or Jackal, And basically, there's 2 playable characters. So this is the SNES one. We don't know the full details of the new one, but so Pocky, which is basically like a Shrine Maiden, and Rocky the Raccoon. And it's always been a game that I've loved the visual style of ever since I was a kid. I remember
It
seeing
looks really cool, yeah.
I remember seeing this game in the magazines and just being like, oh man, Pocky and Rocky, this looks great. And then when I finally got to play it via emulation, I really, really like it. And the game had 2 sequels. So it had Pocky and Rocky 2 years later on the SNES in 94. And then it also got a Game Boy Advance game, which I didn't know much about.
Oh, I never knew that.
Called Pocky and Rocky with Becky. And I think Becky's a ghost in 2001. And I think it was released in the US.
Playable character?
I would assume so, but I don't know. And
I just find that so funny that you're like, I need to know if it's a playable character or not.
And it came out in 2002 in the US. So the new game is called Pocky and Rocky Reshrined, and it's very much a faithful...
Reshrined, I like that.
Yeah, very faithful adaptation of the original visual style. Like, if you were to look at it initially, like, wait, this just looks like Pocky and Rocky on the SNES, but then you kind of look at the SNES version, like, okay, no, clearly this looks a bit nicer, but it's very similar. It's very cool sprite artwork. And this was announced in September last year, but this was the first teaser trailer and footage we got to see of it. So it's due in Q4 this year on PlayStation 4 and Switch. So quite a while to go for the game, but I'm just think about it, like, it's wild that Pocky Rocky is getting a sequel to me. This is outside of the Game Boy Advance game. I think if this is a game that's just like, this was a SNES era game, and how often do you just get like SNES games getting random sequels? It's really cool. I love it.
But I mean, if it was a solid game back then, give us a sequel, right? There's no, it's a solid IP.
But it just doesn't happen.
No reason not to do it.
It just doesn't happen.
But I mean, when you say solid IP, I mean,
Should be happening.
I'm a SNES fan. I think that's proven by I'm wearing the SNES t-shirt. I didn't even remember that I was wearing it. Rocky and Pocky, I mean, is there a lot of love for this series?
Pocky and Rocky, thank you very much.
Pocky and Rocky.
Don't mix it up. You cross the streams.
And Becky.
PR, exactly. Yeah, don't cross the stream.
Don't forget about
I don't know.
Becky.
I just don't really hear much about this series. I'm just kind of surprised that.
Well, that's why I wanted to highlight it, because it's just it's a game that I've always had a real fondness for, and I just love the fact that they're making a new game.
No, I think that's really cool. Like, it'd be interesting
Switch.
to check it out. Maybe Mike can do a review of it for Vox.
Yeah,
when it comes
yeah,
out.
maybe I can be the Natsume bloody reviewer. Although after the review I'm about to give a certain game they recently made, I don't know.
I'll always say that I think the bad reviews or the reviewing bad games is the most valuable thing to the community.
It probably actually is, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, all right, let's move on to better things. New Amiibo. I'm excited.
God.
So,
All right, I'm going for toilet break.
Here we go again.
You guys
and
can go on mute
same.
now.
Okay, seriously, can I go for like 2
Yeah,
minutes to make a coffee?
you can,
Okay, I'll
go.
be right back. You just have a
I'm
monologue.
gonna stay
We'll
here.
be back.
Well, I need someone to
Alright.
bounce off.
I'll
though.
be
you guys.
your amiibo hype man.
Okay, go on.
Roughly
Let me
how
talk.
long will
Let me
it-
talk.
Wait, hang on. Roughly how long will this take so other
20
people
minutes.
can also...
20 minutes.
Okay, listeners, you can just go off and do something else for 20
No, a
minutes.
couple of
and come
minutes.
back as
Couple of
well.
minutes.
Alright,
So
we'll be back.
we did have a Monster Hunter digital event this week, including more information about Monster Hunter Rise. Monster Hunter Rise is having another demo, which I thought was really interesting, incorporating the full demo. And also you can play, the head monster, Maglamalo, in the Monster Hunter Rise demo. I don't know if you knew that, Swinny.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And supposedly, like, even people who are very good at Monster Hunter are like, this thing is like near impossible to beat. So I'm actually not even going to try. And just with Monster Hunter quickly, I am so looking forward to Monster Hunter Rise, but I kind of don't want to know any more about the game. I'm kind of at that point now.
Well, Capcom's they want you to know more.
Yeah, I know.
They just want you to know everything about this game. Clearly,
You do get a big sense that the game's going to be massive, Monster Hunter Rise. But going to the other Monster Hunter game that's coming out this year, which is Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin, which is coming out from memory July 20-something, or would it be the 9th of July alongside, oh yeah, it is, sorry, 9th of July 2021. The most exciting thing that I saw in in the Capcom presentation was that they're announcing even more Amiibo.
oh
So,
no! Yes,
just from a Monster Hunter
yes, no.
perspective, there are 6 Amiibo coming out this year. So there's 3 that should be coming out in 2 weeks' time, 26th of March, as part of Monster Hunter Rise. And now we have confirmation of 3 more. And I will say that when Monster Hunter Stories, the original, came out on the 3DS, they released 6 Amiibo just for that one game. And they are some of the most coveted Amiibo. And they never came out to Australia. They came out to Europe in a very small batch. And they're pretty accessible in Japan. I think you pretty much could just pick them up pretty easy in Japan at the time. But these Amiibo, like, are just so hard to get now. And I was really hoping that Mike's just come back onto the show. I was really hoping that they would re-release the Monster Hunter Story Amiibo, but alas, they don't. But they are releasing 3 new ones, and these ones look really, really good.
All right,
So,
I just want to give my quick thoughts because
go on.
So first of all, as Swinny, hey, this is cool, new
Oh.
Amiibo. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah,
Wow.
well, I don't
I
buy
don't know you're into
Amiibo.
Amiibos.
I don't buy Amiibo, but hey, cool for people who like Amiibo. And then
Yeah.
I will now play the part of Integot's bank account. Stop the pain!
Oh, I wouldn't worry about it.
It's just like,
his bank account is
he's already
fine.
dead! Yeah, I know.
Stop killing him again and again.
There is a question, right? How many Amiibo could they release where I actually go, I stop buying them? I don't think there is a possibility.
I
that
don't
they
think
would
there is a
release-
number.
Well, you're not
No.
you're not dedicated enough to spend $50 to get the Mario cereal Amiibo.
No, but that's the thing. I
Call
know.
yourself an amoeba.
I know you guys
shadow.
think I'm crazy. I am a little bit crazy, but I've never spent more than, I don't know, maybe. I can't actually recall ever spending
You
much
were
more
about
than
to say something and you
RRP.
changed course then.
No. Okay, so there was that one
He
time.
forgot about the $200 one.
No.
he
There was
bought.
one time I was trying to get the Amiibo for Monster Hunter Stories, the first game.
Yeah.
And I bid $70 or something, but I accidentally bid $700. Did you hear about this, Mike?
Oh, Mike, yes,
No.
please tell this story for Mike, please.
Okay, so it's just quickly because people have heard this story before on the podcast, but essentially, I was trying to bid for this. I can't remember the exact figure that I was bidding for, but I think it was 75 or 70, right? And this normally trades at like 300, this Amiibo. And it was really painful for me to go, okay, I'm going to spend $70 on a little tiny bit of plastic that's worth like 2 cents. But I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm sick in the head. So I bid what I thought was 70, and I was being smart, right? So I bid 70 at the last second,
Shoved a couple
right,
of
with
extra
like 2
zeros.
seconds. And then when I was typing it, my thing wasn't responding. I was like, what the hell's going on? 70. And then when I went submit, like within a flash, because your reaction's so slow, I pressed submit and I saw the number 700. I was like, shit. I was thinking, because I was actually going, oh my God, this could genuinely sell for like $300 or $400.
Yep.
And I had to retract my bid after the
you
fact.
retracted it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I felt terrible
But
for
wait,
the guy.
it wasn't in the last.
Are you going to
but what
say?
did it
Are
actually
you going
sell
to say the
for?
last part? Integot?
Which is what?
So, well, from memory, I could be wrong, but
Oh, yeah. No,
So
no,
you
this is
won.
not a big deal. This is not a big
okay,
deal.
no, but I want to get Mike's take because I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy if he agrees
Okay,
with
yeah,
you.
okay, let's
So
go.
he,
Alright, go.
he
I'll
got
let you do it.
retracted. The seller was like happy to. So he understood,
Yeah, and he cancelled the whole thing.
and he put
Okay.
and he relisted it, and then Integot bid on it again.
Oh.
How's that bad? I don't understand. I will never understand how that's bad.
Nah, that's bad.
How?
Because you screwed the guy over. You wasted a week of his life.
I've already had this
And-
argument with you guys, but we're not with
No,
you,
no,
Mike.
this.
but
I haven't had this argument.
Okay.
No, I'm with Swinny on this one.
it's so simple.
No, that's rude.
How's it rude?
That's rude.
Because you wasted a week of the guy's life because
was
you were an
fine.
idiot.
Yeah. Look, the thing is,
Wait, did you win it the second time when he relisted?
so I was winning.
I
I was winning it, and it was like much lower, right? And I was like, okay, if I win it, this is what I was gonna do. If I won it for
Donate
less,
it to charity.
No. If I won it for less, I was gonna say to the guy, "I'm gonna give you extra money. I'm gonna
Okay,
give
that's
you
cool. That's
$70
cool.
or whatever I was like bidding for. I
Yeah,
was gonna give
yeah,
him what
the
I was
original
willing to do, right?
That's fair. That's fair.
That's fair.
But
No, that's
I
cool,
don't see
yeah.
a problem with it. Like, the thing is, I'm not manipulating. I'm not trying to actually like screw the guy. I genuinely tried to bid $70 or 75, whatever it was, and I stuffed up.
No, I know you were just genuinely
Then-
dropped as a child when you were a kid. We get that. But
I was dropped in the gutter when I was coming out of hospital.
But again, yeah, poor guy.
I
Having to deal with you twice.
No, but the thing is, he's happy that I'm bidding because that means that at a minimum he's going to get that amount.
Yeah, and I guess you were, inflating other bids. so-
Exactly. So, and it went for more anyway in the end. So
No,
he
but
got
by the
more
way, this
money.
whole Amiibo thing, right? I know it sounds.
I have to say though, I do think he got less money than he would have got the first round with the bidding.
Yeah, but that happens because it depends who's
Yeah.
doing it that week and all
Yeah,
sorts of stuff. It's just, and in the end, it's worth whatever people pay for it.
True.
And I think, look, I give you crap about the crazy amount of amiibos you have, but here's the thing: you don't open them, give them to your kids, let them play with it, wreck them, whatever. I would guess
No, they did play with them.
90-something% of your amiibos are still sealed.
That's more from laziness.
And I don't know. I think it's more because you don't buy them just because you like to collect shit. You buy them because they have an inherent value that is
I don't buy
worth
them
more
because of
than
that.
what he bought them for.
I think that's the
reckon it is.
opposite.
No, it's the opposite.
no.
I do actually let my son play with them.
But they haven't gone down in value, though. Have any of them actually gone down in value? No.
but I don't buy them for that.
It's like with any limited thing.
If I did that, I would be buying and selling other things. But yeah, it is shocking to me. Some of the amiibo that I have are worth hundreds of dollars. It's like, what?
Well,
It's
that
insane.
reinforces all that does is it reinforces that it's okay to keep buying them from that perspective, because you're not just blowing your money, because some of those might be worth more money later. So I think
don't
it
really care
reinforces
about that,
that behavior. And by the way, I'm someone who had a room, literally a room full of Lego. I spent all my money, almost not every cent I earned, but most of the cents I earned, on filling a room full of Lego, and it just went on and on,
awesome.
and it was awesome. Yeah, and eventually, and look, it did reinforce what I would call a bad behavior in me as well, which is that when I did clear it all out, and I didn't buy it just to, well, I like to think I didn't buy it just to make money out of it. But when I started going through the phase of just trying to get rid of everything I owned, and I started selling all that stuff, of course it went up in price. Like some of those sets, quadrupled in price. So yeah, and it reinforced the idea that, oh yeah, you buy something now, you can invest in it later and fill your house with crap. But anyway, let's move on.
Well,
It's a totally different discussion.
No, because I haven't finished.
Oh,
the
you
actual
haven't? Yeah,
information portion of it.
tell us more about these.
Well, I haven't
Amiibos.
finished the information. You guys keep interrupting. So the key thing is, how do you get these amiibos? So with the Monster Hunter Rise amiibo, Nintendo Australia has confirmed you can only buy them on the Nintendo Store, which is new. The Nintendo Store, which is the Australian Nintendo Store. You can already pre-order them. I think it's GameStop and EB Games in US and Canada, and I think it's a Nintendo Store maybe in the UK, but don't quote me on
in
that.
Australia?
In Australia, it's the Nintendo Store of Australia, which is just new. But the one weird thing is they haven't actually gone up yet. They haven't gone up for sale yet. So I know it sounds
Have you got
nuts.
a bot yet?
I'm building one.
Yeah.
I'm building one today to monitor the website. Because in the UK, they sold out within minutes when they've gone up on this Nintendo Store. So I'm very nervous that they're actually only going to get a very small lot of Amiibo, and then they're going to be sold out. So I don't want to miss out, because it's going to piss me off, and then I'm going to have to make a decision if I want to import them, which I don't want to do. I don't want to pay extra.
I love the psychology of what people spend money on.
And then,
it's so fascinating.
Then,
I might
wait,
actually quit my job
Let me close it out. So
and become a psychologist.
Monster Hunter Stories, the 3 new amiibo that have been announced. So this is secret intel, and my secret intel is always pretty good.
It's pretty
I was 100% right last time with the.
You sleep with
Hi-Fi.
the right people. You do.
So
You let us
So
know
weird.
when you get it 100% right as well.
yeah, I do. So this will also go up on the Nintendo Store, but they have not confirmed that yet. But they will go up on the Nintendo Store. I've got my sources. So it'll go up in the Nintendo Australia Store. In the US, it's on GameStop, and in Canada, it's EB Games. But they're also not for pre-order just yet. So I'll monitor what they do with Monster Hunter Rise, given that that's only 2 weeks away when they're coming out. And then report back to see how quickly they sold out and everything like that. But I'm guessing it will sell out within a day.
Okay.
So get on it if you want it.
Tune in for your weekly dose of Amiibo news.
There's a lot of Amiibo's most covered topic on the podcast.
We may as well just change the name of the podcast to Amiibo Weekly or something.
This week in Amiibo. All right, let's move on to the next story, which is The Outer Worlds, the new DLC that's arriving this week. Do you want to take this over, Swinny?
Yeah, so now we're going to talk about a story that people actually do care about. That's
Gaming.
not Amiibos. As I said, sorry, I said Amiibos. That was a.
You did it intentionally.
That's a sin. That's
you
a
monster.
Sin. So Obsidian spacefaring RPG The Outer Worlds is getting its second and final DLC, Murder on Eridanos, next week. This week, I guess this week because it's Sunday, on the 17th of March. So this, I'm super looking forward to this. Not just because it's more Outer Worlds, and because I also need to recomplete it when it lands for my resolution, but it's this just looks really, really cool. So there's some footage out there, some early impressions, and they've taken a really, really awesome approach to it. It's a murder mystery, and your choices, just like everything in the Outer Worlds, like choices really do matter in that game. Like you're having to interrogate people, and your perks matter, and your companions will also factor into how the story plays out. And I just love the idea of putting a murder mystery in the Outer Worlds format. I think it's a fantastic idea.
That's a cool idea, yeah.
So it takes place on the
with the quirky humor that the game has, right?
Yeah, and as part of that, the new tool that's called a discrepancy amplifier, it's almost like Flood in a way, where it's got its own personality, and that you use that to actually investigate crime scenes, and you get a whole bunch of new perks, and there's science weapons and armor variants and whatnot. But the actual setting, so Eridanos, it's just really, really cool. So it's set in this, like, it's a gas planet with all these floating kind of islands. And in the center island is this big hotel called the Grand Colonial Hotel. And like apparently there's quite a lot in there, and there's lots of guests, and it's just really, really cool setting. And I'm really, really pumped for this. Peril on Gorgon, which was the first DLC pack, I didn't mind it, but it was set on an asteroid, so it wasn't the most like visually appealing area. Like this looks like an area that you go and you're like, oh, this looks awesome. So like I really want to explore all this stuff. And Peril on Gorgon was a bit like, this is more Outer Worlds, but I'm not it hasn't hooked me a lot. Whereas this one, I'm super pumped for. So yeah,
this actually sounds really cool. I think I need to go back. I'd never finished the main campaign. I was super close to the end, I think. And then, life got in the way. But it'd be worth continuing that playthrough. And then
it's a really short game, Outer Worlds as well.
Relatively speaking,
yeah.
But I look at what
I think in Sweeney languages, it's a really short game. 20 hours.
Look, if you
well, I think it's more than 20.
I'd say it's actually, if you sit there and like you waste a lot of time, maybe.
Well, that's what I mean. I do, because I check every single nook and cranny. I loot everybody, every container. Got to do this, got to do that. Yeah. I literally am play testing the game basically when I play these kind of games.
But even for a game like that, it's not a long game. And if you know what you're doing, which is obviously not the first playthrough, like you can beat the game in like half an hour. So, but
beat the game in half an hour.
I'd beat it in I'd beat it in 25 minutes.
You can.
Yeah, but no one's sitting down and beating it in half an hour.
No one's going to do it properly. And then what's the point of getting the game? You're not going to experience it, right? So,
no, it's actually a really cool challenge run to do when
it would be cool, as a challenge run. Yeah, but I mean, it's the kind of game that it's all about the gameplay. First of all, is solid. I love the shooting mechanics and stuff, but it's the characters and the story and stuff. It's really quirky. It's really cool. It's classic Obsidian stuff.
And what's really great as well, so for Peril Gorgon and this new DLC, is that all the companions are a huge part of Outer Worlds. They comment on everything. Like they got all the voice actors to do all the extra stuff with the DLC as well.
Cool.
And it's really great. So it's coming out, so 17th of March for PC, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but the Switch will get it later this year. I'm not sure if Peril and Gorgon's available on Switch yet, but so that's
I think it is. Let me double check that while you're covering it.
Yeah, so it's I'm happy. I'm super excited to see. Obviously, we know Obsidian's working on, so they've been working on that. I think is it Grounded or whatever that like bug co-op survival game.
But that's already out. So
but it's out in like early preview program, so they're still working on that game.
I don't think that's a main team though. I wouldn't imagine.
No, I'm just saying what Obsidian's working on. So they're working on that and Avowed that we know of, and
that's the big one.
Maybe there's something I'm forgetting about, but honestly,
no, I think Avowed is going to be the big one, and it has come out on Switch. The DLC Perils of Gorgon.
So I'm just honestly, I'd love them to make an Outer Worlds 2. Like I hope at some point that gets put in the pipeline.
Well, I thought everyone wants them to make New Vegas 2.
That would be great as well.
I mean, now they can, like bizarrely.
I just want them to. Well, actually, I don't know who owns the rights.
We should just quickly say.
Fallout.
No, but we should just quickly say it's all under Microsoft now.
Yeah. So
with Bethesda now they can make Fallout New Vegas 2 because they own that
That's
IP.
True. Yeah. But wait, who
kind of wild?
Do they own the full IP? Like, who owns the rights to the original Fallouts? If someone wanted to port
Bethesda
to Switch,
Bethesda did.
I guess they would.
Anyway, I just want to talk about Outer Worlds for a second. So the reason why I'd want them to work on an Outer Worlds sequel is because there's so much untapped potential in not only the world they created, but just the setting and the style. Like, this got such a cool style to it that when they initially announced it, everyone's like, "Oh, it's just ripping off Fallout." But no, when you play it, it's got its own kind of take on it, and it'd be a shame if this is the last we see of that world. That's all.
I don't think it will be, Swinny, but I think also, you got to think about the psychology of the teams. I think, especially these type of RPGs, to me, it makes so much sense to flip between different settings, like a, Fallout style setting and an Elder Scrolls style setting, or a sci-fi, then a, fantasy, because it also, I think, keeps it fresh for the teams. So then maybe they go make Avowed, this main team works on that, and then they go, hey, why don't we come back to this IP and make a sequel?
But I don't care about the teams. I care about what I want to play. I think that's fair.
Fuck the teams. Fuck them.
Well, it's more like, okay, I want to see more Outer Worlds. I don't want. That's what I want. I can only say what I want.
Hey, can
I'm
I
going to
ask
quote
you,
Swinny. That's the episode title. Fuck the devs /Swinny. Go on, Mike.
No, I was just gonna say. Speaking of untapped potential, did you tap Sam in your playthroughs?
Jesus.
All right, let's move on to
no, but hang on.
Story.
You know why that would be funny, right? Because of what the character is.
Yeah, I know. I did not have sex with the robot.
Okay, just making sure.
All right.
And by the way, it's not a humanoid robot. By the way,
it is an old school
cleaning awesome.
cleaning
Crush,
robot.
destroy, cleaning robot.
That's awesome. All right, this is a big change of pace for the next story. So we have covered byuu/Nier, so Nier, but formerly known as byuu. But yeah, there was a really cool article up from Vice. Vice do every now and then write like an amazing gaming article that doesn't get read as much as it should, and I haven't really heard many people talk about this. But essentially, it's a really cool article where it covers Nier's now 25-year journey to try to localize a Super Nintendo game, Squaresoft or Square game back in those. Square game.
Squaresoft back then.
Squaresoft back then, yeah, that's right.
Square Enix now.
Yeah. A game back in the day, Bahamut Lagoon. And yeah, the article is just like really cool just to cover sort of the history of Nier. Originally, when I think they were saying he was 15, tried to like localize the game, was really passionate about it, wanted to learn Japanese just to translate it. Then, yeah, and one thing, I'll just say about Nier, and again, formerly known as byuu, he created SNES and Higan and a whole bunch of other emulators. But I would say from a community perspective, to me, he's the most important person that we've ever had in the whole SNES community. So I wore my little SNES t-shirt today, given that we're going to talk about this. I love the drive to perfection. Like, I'm a bit of a reforming perfectionist.
No, you're still a perfectionist, and it's sometimes driving the two of us nuts.
Yeah. I'm always like criticizing them for settings and all this other kind of stuff. But
oh no, your microphone has to have the gain on 37.2%.
Pretty much.
38% is too high.
But there is something beautiful about like the strive for perfection. You read about how they make traditional Swiss watches and clocks and things like that. It's quite like,
and
intricate.
I'm a bit like that too. So
yeah, and he really always strove to create the best. So with SNES, he was trying to create a cycle accurate SNES emulator. And I would say if you want to play the games as they were played, something like SNES is totally fine to play that. You don't need to get an FPGA solution or an actual SNES. They are so accurate, the emulators that he created, mostly around the SNES. But this whole story was so fascinating because I knew this about him, that he was always wanting to translate this game. I didn't know that it was just recent, like this year, where he'd finally done the final patch that he was comfortable with and released it in Feb 2021. So I think he had 5 cracks at it, including learning the language himself. And I think he was going to translate it himself at one stage, but then got another person to translate it. And yeah, it's not just as simple as going, okay, here's the text. It's, given back in the day, a lot of the SNES and NES games with the Japanese characters, essentially they're monospace characters, always have the same amount of space between them, very different to most other languages. So to actually properly do justice to the translation, you need to have something that can dynamically display the fonts rather than just have them all monospaced, which looks horrible. And the amount of re-engineering he had to do to get that working. But then the thing that I love the most about the whole article is that, pulling apart this game, and it's so difficult because he doesn't have the game
Well,
code.
that's the thing. I think we should mention that, right? You don't get the code to recompile it.
No.
You have to reverse engineer the whole
Correct.
thing, basically.
So he reverse engineered the whole thing, and then he noticed, the way they're displaying the dialogue boxes around the text, they've made errors in how they've done that.
Like 2 pixels incorrect in one spot.
So he
That's awesome.
he did a bug fix for their game to fix their actual coding of the game itself.
That was
so now
cool.
now
I
it
love
displays
that bit.
completely accurately.
My favorite.
I love this
Yeah.
article. It's so cool.
It was a really cool article. Yeah, it was almost like I relived. Well, I did nothing like that during my childhood, but it was almost like it made you relive your childhood and your journey in life, and personally made me question some decisions I've made. But one thing that I thought was really cool was the part when he went to his grandma's place on a farm, and he couldn't bring his PC and stuff, so he just took the internal components, and then using whatever pocket change he had, he bought a whole bunch of other parts at that town and re-put his entire PC back together so his parents wouldn't know he ever did that. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. It was awesome.
That was an awesome bit. Yeah.
Was there anything else that we needed to cover, Swinny?
No, I just want to again, you mentioned it, just call out the fantastic work that Vice does. So Patrick Klepek and Austin Walker and all those that have been part of, when it was Waypoint at some point, and they're kind of still branded as Waypoint a bit. Just they're writing about stuff that no one else in the industry writes about, and there's such a love for what they do. And also just Bahamut Lagoon as well. So that's always shit. I've always been super keen on trying this game at some point. And it kind of shares...
Now you can.
It shares this weird space of almost forgotten Squaresoft SNES RPGs. So I bundle this in with your Treasure Hunter G style game.
Yeah.
Where, games that also came out quite late in the SNES lifetime. That by that point, people had moved on to the PlayStation RPGs or... and you'd always see these games, like I'd see these games in EGM and Superplay and that, and it's like, man, I just want to play and in Australia we weren't even getting a lot of the US games, but then there's this other part, it's like, oh man, there's cool Squaresoft RPGs, So it's great, and it's awesome the dedication that Nia has put into finally, I guess, achieving his goal. He's almost like, it seems like his lifetime goal, but he's still probably got a lot of projects left in the tank. Sounds like a true perfectionist. So.
Oh yeah, massively. I actually might try to reach out to him and just try to get him on the show because I'd love to pick his brain about what's next because he seems like a really, really interesting character.
Yeah.
And just like, when he was trying to do like a PlayStation emulator, it was just like flying through. It was like insane. Like people were just like, wow, this is truly insane how quickly he's going through everything. So yeah, it just seems like a really interesting character. And I love the Super Nintendo. It's still my favorite console. I have to say the Switch is getting up there. I think the Switch probably eventually will be my favorite console. But yeah,
eventually, what will make it become your favorite console, you think?
Well, I think, like if they release like a Switch Pro and that's pretty decent and, then you have another good Breath of the Wild game, maybe Metroid Prime 4, it's going to be pretty hard to argue. But yeah, no, it's really cool. Very cool article. I totally agree with what you're saying, Swinny. And you don't see a lot of long form gaming journalism. So apart from Jason Schreier, pretty much it doesn't really exist in the industry. So it's good to see. It's really good to see.
And that's because I think a lot of, it's like the review that I'm about to do, I suppose. You get a lot of people maybe coming into the industry that aren't traditional journalists. They're just bloggers. And whereas I think these guys have, they've been around for a while. I don't know what their qualifications are, but it feels like they're actual journalists, if that makes sense. They look into the stories, they research, they do that kind of stuff.
There's people out there, some of them just aren't having their voice heard. So I think that it'll be interesting to see what games journalism is in 20 years, but that's a whole different topic. So.
Yeah. And our final piece of news today. So the Mario 35th anniversary, which obviously had been delayed by COVID, it's ending shortly. So lots of games are going offline on 31st of March. So we will cover that soon in the bargain bin. But one thing that I noticed, and I'm always jealous that in the States and Canada, they've had these Mario 35th anniversary pin sets. And I have to say, it's in the States so convoluted on how do you get these pin sets. You have to like order a special kind of ice cream. You have to pre-order certain games. You had to jump on, Animal Crossing, the mobile version. There were things where it was like, when it was announced, you already had to have done it. So you had no opportunity to actually do some of the challenges that they wanted you to do, unless you've already done it before it got announced, which is insane, right? So very convoluted. And then when they finally went up on the My Nintendo website in the US, I think it sold out within like 10 minutes. So you did all these challenges just for the eligibility to submit like a request to get the pins, and then they only had a limited set of pins in the first place. Then switch to Australia, and New Zealand, Swinny. Very different set of like structure around the competition. So in Australia, all you have to do is go on nintendo.com.au/Super Mario 35/quiz, and there's an easy and hard quiz, and both of these quizzes are like insanely easy.
Oh, it's ridiculous. That I could see one or two of the hard questions. Some people being like, "Oh, I got that one wrong," but apparently you just try again, and they don't change. They don't change.
And it's not like doing the quiz over and over again gives you any more, like advantage. Otherwise, I would have built a bot just to, do billions of requests. And each quiz has 220 pin sets to give away.
Oh, not bad. By the way, Mario does not use a magic hot dog as one of his abilities. I got that one wrong, so just in case anyone's wondering.
We shouldn't slag off Nintendo Australia too much, or else they will ban us as well as I've been banned from Xbox Australia PR. But it just feels like this quiz. These are the easiest answers to even Google anyway.
But it's just the whole regulation around gamer skill, gamer chance. It's just they need someone to complete something that takes a tiniest amount of skill or knowledge, and that's it. Yeah. There's certain. Then they can get game skill license. That's pretty much it,
Yeah. That's an Australian regulation for international viewers that you would be familiar with, right, Swinny, in your work. So yeah, so they can't just give it away, right?
Well, there's different states. Different Australian states have different ways that they handle competition licenses or giveaway licenses, and so it depending on what it is, it's going to cost you more or be more of a headache to organize. So if you just put that skill check as part of your competition, then you can essentially it just gets around.
It changes the regular.
It just basically changes it from being a lotto completely. Because there's still a random chance at the end when you enter.
Yeah, because that's the same as the write 25 words or less submissions, and then you find out that 99% of those, they don't even read the submissions.
Oh, we don't know.
And people labor over them. Labor over what's the best 25 words, and they don't get read.
Wait, what? So they just randomly get selected?
Correct, dude.
What?
Yeah.
But that's false advertising.
But the thing is, okay.
I can see you would be the kind of person that labors the 25 words.
Mike.
I would, but I think the ACCC needs to get in on that.
Mike,
that's
are you going to sit there and read 20,000 sentences?
Don't make it that. That is false advertising.
I agree.
Don't waste people's time.
I agree that is a bad way to do it. But
totally a bad way. Just put your name and phone number, and we'll randomly select the person.
They can't.
Then you have to. It's much more complicated to.
And it costs a lot of money as well.
At least they need to put an asterisk to say, honestly, we're not going to read this, so just put a whatever.
They can't because then they would fall back into the other regulations.
Well,
anyway,
so hang on a minute. Either way, the ACCC needs to get in on this.
Okay, so I'm not saying
totally
not
dodgy.
every situation, but a lot of times that'll happen.
I have never heard of them actually caring about what people have submitted.
It depends on how many there are. Really
dodgy.
Some competitions on Facebook, if you only get like 100 entries, they might read.
So with this pin set, so they have representatives of each of the mainline Mario games, which is amazing, including Galaxy 2, which I've noticed they've kind of like stopped showing when they show the Mario series of games because it's not available on Switch. I think it's the only mainline Mario game that's not available on Switch now, which is kind of crazy when you think about it.
They're changing history. They're changing the textbooks. They're changing the Mario history.
They even put Yoshi's Island, which I would argue is not a part of the mainline Mario series. But anyway, I don't want to get into that debate. But I really want this pin set, man. Like, I really, really want this pin set. And I'm annoyed because it sells for hundreds of dollars on eBay, this pin set. And it's just 220. It feels like there's just so little chance of getting it. So if you guys get it, make sure you give it to me, okay? That's a fair deal, isn't it? Silence. You guys don't even want it. You don't even want it.
We'll see. Actually, honestly, as part of this, when I saw what the pins were, I'm like, oh, they're actually pretty cool.
Yeah, they look sick, don't they?
Yeah.
They've
I didn't
really
realize there was a
effort.
pin from every game. So
yeah, it's so cool. There's 2 sets, and they have like a embodiment of each of the games, which I think is really, really cool. So jump in, give me even less chances of winning this. Submit the quiz. It's ending on the 31st of March. Along with a lot of other things that we'll cover right now in the bargain bin. So the bargain bin for the 14th of March, 2021. First, just a general thing. Tell me why. So a game that Swinny did review, so you can go back to like episode 20-ish, Swinny.
I'll put it in the description. I think it was earlier than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was before Mike joined, and he's been around for a while. He's an old timer now.
We can't get rid of him. People are like, whoa, there was a time before Mike? That's incredible. The good days.
So BM before Mike.
Yeah, I was going to say, those were the good days.
Yeah, exactly.
No more. The tyrant has entered the game.
So tell me why first chapter is now permanently free. So that's on Steam, Xbox, wherever the game's available.
Thanks,
that's
Xbox.
pretty
That's
cool.
Great. That's great for everyone. Yeah, I'm being the shield for once.
Yeah. On Epic Games, the greatest PC game store, come at me. Surviving Mars is free until the 19th of March. I have to say, every time a game like this comes up where it has been free before, so I obviously have already added it to my library, I do get a bit sad. When I'm like, what? I can't add this game? I've already got it.
If you remember, that's the game that I did the dodgy patch to get all the achievements as well. That's fine.
There you go. Big sales for Nintendo. So as part of the Mario 35, they had 35% off. So I'm looking forward to the Mario 95 anniversary where it's 95% off. It's probably the best sale that Nintendo would ever have. So Paper Mario Origami King, Super Mario Maker 2, and Mario Odyssey are like 52 Australian dollars until the 21st of March. So it's a week. Any one of those games is well worth that price. But I think, for me, Odyssey is insane value at $52. That's just like a must-play game. Mario Maker 2 is very good as well. It depends on like how you want to play the games. I think for you, Swinny, which one would you pick out of those 3 if you had to choose?
Mario Maker by far.
Oh, really? Okay, there you go. Yeah, you put hundreds of hours into that game. Yeah. We do need to feature your world shortly as one of the specials.
That'd be cool, mate. Yeah, that'd be cool, actually.
Yeah, I was going to surprise you and do it, but I thought, I better tell you. PSA, Nintendo has reconfirmed because, and just the context here is Tetris 99 was meant to be a timed exclusive. Then they have let it run forever. Mario 35th anniversary titles will go off sale at the end of 31st of March. So they've confirmed that. So that means digitally you will not be able to buy 3D All-Stars. And then you'll start to see it disappear on shelves.
Why? Why is that?
Wait, you didn't know about this?
No.
That's a whole thing. Like we should probably, because like otherwise we're going for ages.
It is what it is.
Let's talk about it next time.
Yeah, it is what it is. But essentially, there's a whole host of stuff that's going offline. I think as it gets closer, we'll say every single thing that's going offline. But that also means, Mario 35, the game, is going offline. Also, Fire Emblem, the remake, essentially, is going offline as well. So, and that's only available digitally anyway. So who knows if you can ever get that game again. In terms of PlayStation, Tales of... I feel like you pick these games, Swinny. You pick the ones that you like but are hard to say. How do I say that?
Sometimes I'll choose ones that are hard to say. But
I know you do.
I mean, I'd love... There was a Tales story meant to cover this week, but I cut it. So this is a discount on a Tales game.
And how do you say it?
Zestiria.
Oh, Zestiria, okay. So that's $10 until the 18th of March, and Dead Island Definitive Edition is also $5 until the 18th of March. Now, we'll hand over to
some other year, 2011.
We'll hand over to the Xbox shill himself, Swinny, the Hall of Famer, the official Hall of Famer.
That is a lie.
Big news.
So, so additions to Game Pass available now as part of the Bethesda Microsoft official announcement. There's 12 new games added. So all the new 12 are all on console and PC. So that's Dishonored Definitive Edition, Doom, and Doom 2, which are the 2019 re-releases of the classic games. Doom 3... No, because there's a separate
It's
version.
so weird that I read that. I'm like, why'd you write 2019?
Because
Okay,
there's
yeah,
separate
I get it.
versions of Doom Arcade and Doom 2 Arcade that are backwards compatible from 360 as well.
Whoa.
So Doom 3, Doom 64, Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, The Evil Within, Fallout 4, Prey, Wolfenstein: The New Order, and Wolfenstein: The Old Blood. And they join the a bunch of games that are already in Game Pass, which as was part of the announcement, which was Dishonored 2, Doom Eternal, Fallout 76, Fallout New Vegas, which is console only, Elder Scrolls, Skyrim Special Edition, Elder Scrolls Online, that's console only, Rage 2, and Wolfenstein Young Blood.
That's a really good selection.
Wait, is Doom 2016 not on Game Pass?
No, not anymore.
No.
I think it used to be, right? But no, it's
Yeah,
not.
so
It's not
there's a
at the
few
It
games
was.
like there
I
are a
think it
few
was,
games
yeah, 'cause
missing,
I played
like
it
Evil Within
all the
2
time.
and stuff. So you'll start to
Fallout
see some
3.
of those things dropping. Yeah, Fallout 3 is another.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe they'll add them later. But
I have to admit, there's so many games that they added. I felt like at that point they should just add everything.
Well, I think it's
Yeah, it's what they
sometimes the
didn't.
work. Like I think Fallout 3 is some of the New Vegas, where to
Yeah.
get it on the Windows Store, they just need to kind of do a bit
Fair
of work
enough.
to it.
enough.
But yeah.
would you now say it's good value Game Pass, or are you still
Me?
Yeah.
Honestly,
still
for
on the,
PC, look,
I'm
the
not
thing
getting
is,
my value.
again, I buy games on discount. I monitor that. I'm very patient. I have to say the podcast is kind of throwing me in a loop for that kind of stuff. Things like the Mass Effect trilogy, I'll probably just have to eat it and buy it when it comes out if I'm got time to play it.
$80 worth.
It's such a ripoff. But look, Game Pass is good. Like if you,
That's what he doesn't say that.
I'll say it like this: if you have a Series X, Game Pass. If you don't have Game Pass, I don't understand why you got the Series X. Like to me, that's just a total no-brainer.
If you want to play on a console, like
Yeah.
that's straightforward. The answer.
Because you can
I
play
like
all
playing on
the
a console.
physical games.
No. Maybe I didn't say what I said correctly. I said if you have an Xbox Series X, you have to have Game Pass.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
like-
Yeah,
It's
okay.
sorry, I didn't say it right. It's a no-brainer.
Have to.
No. If you have a Series X and you don't have Game Pass, it makes no sense to me. You have to have
not?
Game Pass.
You get an entire collection
It
of
is
games.
insane value. No, maybe I'm
Oh
not
no, it's
speaking
awesome
correctly.
value. No, I
Jesus.
know what you're trying to say. I'm just giving you shit. No, it is.
But on
it's
PC, it's
extremely
like-
good value. Totally
dude,
worth picking up.
Like
yes.
I only have it on
I know.
PC. It's very buggy. It's like, dude, it's like hard to uninstall the games. It's really buggy the way it all
Yeah,
works.
I had a bunch of issues with
The
it,
games
yeah.
crash way more than they do on Steam.
Okay.
And,
That I haven't
people
had.
will say that a lot. But having said that, value, it's interesting because I won't be able to keep these games. It's a membership, right? It's a temporary thing. It's borrowing. So sure, I probably won't buy some of the games, but there's like a game like Resident Evil 7. I probably would want to play that again eventually. And once it goes off Game Pass, I won't. So then it's like, okay, that's a bit weird. Like
The argument for me is always it gets me to play games that I never would have purchased otherwise, like You Tell Me Whys and Spiritfarer and
Yeah.
things. And I get to experience new things like Call to Sea, which I'm like, man, that was great. I wouldn't have bought that, So
If it wasn't for the podcast, I certainly wouldn't get it. But I think it does make sense with the podcast because I could play a game like Medium and then trash it and, not understand why people think that's a 9 out of 10 game. So for that kind of thing, that's good. Like it was actually useful. Speaking about the podcast, let's move on to Mike's review. So Mike is going to review Harvest Moon One World. He's also going to submit a written review to vooks.net quite shortly.
I will.
So yeah, I'm really interested to see how you found this game, Mike.
So first of all, if this gets uploaded as a separate segment, which I know it does, please don't make it the review because people are going to come and they're going to be super disappointed at what I'm about to say. It's
do you
not a
mean?
proper
It is a
long
review.
ass. Yeah, but it's not like it's
I
not.
like how
It's not.
it's definitely going to be titled. We've already
It's
created
not
a thumbnail
thought
which says
out.
review.
I know that, but
We've
it's
already
not
done
thought
it.
out. I'm just putting this huge disclaimer.
That's
If you're
fine.
listening to this right now on YouTube, massive disclaimer. This isn't a traditional review that you would hear somewhere else. I'll give it a score at the end and all of that, and I'll talk about it, and hopefully it'll be entertaining enough for you.
Well, that's a review.
Settle up. Yeah, but it's not like a proper,
Look at
traditional
this
review that people
expectation setting
might
he's doing.
might expect. I just don't want to hear any more of you're ignorant, you're an idiot, blah blah blah. I get it. I am. I'm an idiot. I'm
Okay,
ignorant.
can I just say
There's a lot of shit I don't know.
I'll turn the comments off
But
for this
no,
video.
no. Keep the comments on. I'm all about transparency. I want to hear people diss me. It's part of growing as a human being.
All right, go on to your review.
All right. So one thing that I will say, however, is I am doing most of the talking, but I am happy for you guys. In fact, I encourage you guys to butt in, ask questions as I talk about stuff. don't make this a monologue for me. Jump in. So, to begin with, I'll give you guys a bit of a quick history of Harvest Moon, because I didn't know this before I started playing the game. I always assumed Harvest Moon was this game that, started back in the SNES days, and it just continued on, and there were multiple iterations of it. I didn't really know the proper history behind it, and then it's not quite as clear-cut as that. So from the best of my ability and the research that I managed to do, it started off in 1996 from a creator called Yasuhiro Wada. So he worked for Victor Interactive Software, which later became Marvelous Inc., and he created this game series called Bakujo Monogatari, and this was basically what was known as Harvest Moon for us. Now, over there, so back in the days when this was created in Japan, they had to localize the series for the rest of the world, in particular, obviously, the US and Europe. And that's where they got the services of a company called Natsume, and they localized it and changed the name to Harvest Moon, which is the name that we're familiar with, in pretty much the rest of the Western nations. Now, after about 16 years, this is where it gets a little bit interesting, Marvelous Inc., who were the actual developers and creators behind the Harvest Moon games, decided to resign their the publishing rights from Natsume and decided to publish it themselves. Well, to publish it through Xseed, which meant that they couldn't use the name because Natsume had the rights to the name in the West for Harvest Moon. So they ended up using the Story of Seasons name, which was basically what the original name was all along to this. So what he ended up is from about 2012, if I'm not mistaken, and Swinny, you the historian in all of this, but from about 2012, you effectively ended up with two separate games, two separate IPs. You had Story of Seasons, which was the true successor to the Harvest Moon games that people grew up with. And then you had the new Harvest Moon series created by Natsume, which were effectively a whole new IP in that sense. I mean, the IP was the same, but it was a whole new development team, totally different to what we knew as Harvest Moon. So, was all that correct based on your knowledge, Swinny?
I think you got it
right.
Did
I do my research?
I think the original name is Farm Story in Japanese, not Story Seasons. But other than that,
that's right. Yeah.
I think,
which is I think what Bakujo Monogatari means.
Well, yes. Monogatari story. So yeah, I'm guessing.
There you go. Yes,
cool. It's like the stories series.
Yeah.
So like ranch story, farm story, blah blah story.
Yeah. Now, the reason I gave that little piece of history is because I think a lot of people, I had no idea about that. I just assumed, Harvest Moon, this long-lasting IP, everyone loves it. I was watching some videos where people thought it was Natsume because that was what's even on the box art on some of those games. Marvelous Inc. and certainly not Victor Interactive Software is not really mentioned all that much unless you flip it to the back and you really see it.
As a kid, I'm like, SNES Harvest Moon, it's Natsume. As a kid, that's
exactly
what I thought it was. Yeah.
Which is really fascinating. So the reason I mention that is because that sets the context that the game that I played, which was Harvest Moon, and the one that I'm reviewing at the moment, which is Harvest Moon One World, is made by Natsume. So it's not made by the original developers. It doesn't have that history behind it. It's a new game made by a completely different team than all of the rest of the Harvest Moon games. Sans, I think they did 3 other games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so it's not Natsume's first Harvest Moon, but they haven't released as many as there's been Story Seasons games. There's been a lot of Story Seasons games.
That's right. They certainly don't have that history, and I think that sets the context to some of this. So let's talk a bit about the game. So story-wise, the protagonist basically wakes up, has some sort of magic mushrooms, because all of a sudden he sees all these weird harvest sprites. Well, he starts seeing all these harvest sprites that he is literally the only person, he or she, because you can play.
That's what I was about to say. Were you playing as Ryan or Courtney? Ryan's the dude.
I played as Mike. You can choose your name. I played as Mike.
Okay, so Mike as the dude.
I was going to play as the Courtney, but then I thought, I thought my partner was going to play the game as well until I told her how great it was, and then she decided not to play it.
Smart.
So I thought, let her have, the female character. I picked that. Normally, actually, not normally. It's probably about 50-50. Given the choice, it's about 50-50. I will pick the female.
I actually want to
over the male.
That's interesting. I want to do a special sometime in the future about whether or not we choose male or female avatars.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I am super
I already know
mixed.
what my answer is.
What's your answer?
Well, do we want to save it? It's not much of a...
No, let's save it because it's also going on a bit of a tangent. So anyway, your character wakes up, has some magic mushrooms. All of a sudden, you can see these fairies, aka harvest sprites, in the game, and they tell him, "Hey, everything's gone to ruin. There's no food, there's no crops, there's no farming. You need to help revive the harvest goddess to get all that back." And then your mom sends you out on a little mini adventure at the start of the game to try to collect some seeds or try to collect food, but all you can find is potatoes because it seems to be the only thing that people eat in this place.
Is this game set in Ireland?
I was thinking exactly that. I'm like, wow, where's this game set? By the way, your dad is completely out of the picture. I have no idea if it's intentional. I had hoped that it comes later in the story, but spoiler alert, your dad just doesn't exist. I think your mother was some sort of a Virgin Mary type character.
Dad doesn't exist.
Well, you have no dad in the whole game. It's weird. Anyway, so next door to you, you've got this doctor who magically who's got this weird little contraption where I thought it was a she at the start, but it turns out it's a he, has this magical contraption called an expando farm. And that basically allows you to turn your farm into what I imagine is like a Pokeball of some sort. And you can take that farm and move it into anywhere else on the world map. Which sounds kind of cool in theory. It also makes no sense, by the way, because this doctor has this weird ability to take your entire farm, animals included, crops, whatever, I don't know, whatever you have, and shrink it down to nothingness, and then you can rebuild somewhere else. They can't
farming,
get seeds.
This ain't farming
Makes
simulator. It's not a sim.
It's definitely not a sim. So anyway, you take this expander farm and you go on this journey across the world, if you could call it that. Literally, you could traverse the entire world if the game wasn't so slow in like 2 minutes. It's not much of a world, trust me. So you take this expander farm, you move along, and that's where one of my key annoyances with the game begins. And that is that there's no permanence to any of the stuff that you do. So if you play a game like... I haven't, traditionally played a lot of... Well, I think I've only played one of the previous Harvest Moons. So yes, that might sound ignorant, but I did put a shit ton of hours into Stardew Valley. And I grew up on a farm as a kid, so I think that gives me some sort of credibility.
What were you farming on that farm, just out of interest?
And what country was that?
Well, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
All sorts of things.
Because in the description I said you're farming turnips, but that was a joke. So
no, we didn't farm No. So back in those days.
Wait. Say the
I
name
don't want
of
to
that
give
vegetable.
another
Say the name of that vegetable.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Turnips.
I thought you were going to say turnips or something like that.
No.
It sounded like it.
This ain't Sudoku.
I don't know how to say turnips, thank you very much. I don't say Sudoku. All right, another really quick history lesson. So I grew up in Europe, and I grew up a whole bunch of I spent a lot of my time, especially summer holidays, with my grandparents. And back then, things were pretty self-sustaining. Not 100%. You still had, the local grocery for a bunch of things, but they were extremely self-sustaining. So we'd make our own bread. We'd grow all of our own vegetables. We had chickens, cows, sheep, horses, yada, yada, yada. So a lot of the stuff that we did ourselves. So I learned how to take care of cows, milk them, all of that jazz.
So it was really Harvest Mike, wasn't it?
It was Harvest Mike back then, absolutely,
Harvest
yeah. Which is why I really enjoyed games like Stardew Valley, because it brought me back to that feeling of having a farm and growing some vegetables and all of that jazz. So I love those kind of games, or at least I loved Stardew Valley to bits. It's one of my favorite games of all time, probably. But yeah, the problem I have with this, going back to my point, is there's no permanence. You just take your farm, do what you need to do in that particular part of the world to resolve some inane quests that the locals have. And it's always really relatively pretty dumb stuff that if you, look at it from anything other than a child's perspective, it makes absolutely no sense what's going on. And look, to be fair, it is kind of maybe a game that is designed for kids. And certainly in a lot of the language that's used, in the writing, it's very, very basic stuff. But yeah, so my issue is you don't get that permanence that you get when you play a game like Stardew Valley, where you get a proper farm and you can set stuff up and you plant things and it's always there and you come back to it and you take pride in it and you constantly expand on it and you improve it by, getting better sprinklers, putting more crops, allocating a particular section to it, clearing out some of the land to make room for it. It's none of that. In fact, unlike Stardew Valley, you only get set locations where you can even put seeds into the ground, which I think is a huge bummer. There's just no fun or any involvement in that. And speaking of seeds, one of the biggest issues I have with this game is you can buy seeds, but that's not the way you're supposed to do it. And as far as I'm aware from what I've been playing around, the seeds are so expensive that it's just not worth buying a seed. And the only way you can buy a seed is if you sell enough of a particular type of product to the merchant to be able to get the seeds back and purchase them. The way you get the seeds is there's these random harvest sprites scattered around the map. So once a day you can go and at a certain time of the day, you can go and pick them up and you get a seed. You're just running around like an idiot, just picking up these random seeds to be able to grow stuff.
What the hell? Like, that's, to me,
it's a really shit mechanic.
Fundamentally, like, I haven't played every single Harvest Moon Story Seasons game, but to me, the whole flow of that game is you can go to the store at any time by the, often the season that it is will dictate what seeds are available.
You can buy trees, but that's it. You can't.
That sucks. That really sucks.
The only way you can do it, from what I've seen, and I'm pretty sure other reviews will corroborate this, is if you sell enough of a particular thing. But even then, it's not viable to buy the actual seeds to grow them. And it's a really they didn't. I personally don't think they thought the mechanic through properly at all, and it also just ruins the whole farming aspect of it, in my opinion. It also introduces a bit of almost like a random element to it, and it puts in an unnecessary barrier to you wanting to grow particular crops. And what really gets annoying, and I might as well talk about it now, is obviously the game has quests. And a lot of the quests, even the main quests in the game itself, are fetch quests. So you get to an area. I won't mention which one. Not that it's even possible to spoil this game, to be honest. But anyway, you get to an area, and the leader of that area says, "We must throw a feast. Go forth and bring me 3 watermelons." So you're like, okay, fair enough. First of all, that's really shit writing. You want to throw this amazing giant feast, and all you need is 3 watermelons? Whatever.
I don't think we're expecting, novel,
no, but
novel quality writing.
I know that, but it just takes you out of the game so hard when things like that happen. Now, the problem is, I'll give this as an example, actually, since I'm talking about it. The only way to get those watermelon seeds is you got to figure out where exactly you can get watermelon seeds from. Lucky enough, the game is friendly enough that you can actually select. If you've already had a watermelon, you can select a little thing where it tells you roughly where on the map you can find another watermelon. It doesn't tell you exactly which location, because you got to go to a specific one of those harvest sprites that, again, only you can see. No one else can for whatever reason. And you get the watermelon. So eventually, after the course of 3 days, I got 3 watermelon seeds. I go to plant them. And one thing the game didn't explain to me properly is I happened to plant them in a region where they mutated to a different type of melon, which this person didn't accept. And I was sitting there going, how the hell do I get my watermelons? I just want plain old watermelons. I don't want these mutated special watermelons. So it's... things like that happen a lot in the game. It's just constant fetch 4 of these, 5 of these, 10 of these, whatever the case may be. And it just becomes this really inane, boring collection of fetch quests that made no sense.
All right, we've got to talk about the most important thing of any Harvest Moon game.
Yes.
The bachelorettes. So
yes. Yeah.
For the video presentation, I've got a special graphic that I just cooked up while you were droning on.
Okay, yep.
I wasn't expecting that.
But yeah, so there are 5 bachelorettes. There's a DLC one, so I'm assuming
I
that
don't
one's
have the
out.
DLC.
Yep.
That's
Okay,
out.
cool.
Yep.
So do you want me to go through them, or do you want to?
So
go
there's
through
5 bachelors and 5 bachelorettes.
Well, let's-
so you guys don't.
Whoa,
there's
you
no
know,
point going through them.
I've been
but
very.
yeah.
I've been very.
No, don't assume. Don't assume.
I know.
'cause it's already way off.
Oh,
Okay,
shit.
so I've got to
Shit,
ask a question.
I've put myself into trouble.
Okay,
The
before
PC police are after me.
I got to ask a question. Can you if you've chosen the male character?
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay, all
No.
right.
If were you the male character? Yeah.
Yes, I was. Yeah.
Could you romance the male
So
characters?
I don't want to get into the politics of this or anything.
No,
like
it's not.
that.
I'm just asking. Can you romance the male
I
characters?
believe you can't.
Okay.
I
Oh,
don't know.
interesting.
I didn't try, but
That's not-
I know I read some other stuff
surprised,
online.
Not
that said you
surprising
can't.
for a Japanese
Some people
game.
Some people did complain about that, but yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I've done the
So
right
narrows
thing.
it
I
down
knew
for
that.
you.
I knew that
Yeah.
before, by the way.
Yeah.
I
Well,
didn't
of
assume.
course you knew that before. You totally did assume.
So we've got the 5 bachelorettes. Do you want to run through them? And then Swinny and I will try to make character assassinations.
I don't want to run through them
judgments
because
on
I don't
you.
even know who they are. I only cared about one of them.
Okay, well, don't give it away, Swinny
I'm
style.
not gonna give it
don't
away.
give
No,
it
no,
away
no, no,
at
no,
the
no.
start, Swinny style.
You need to guess who it is.
So I'll go through them then. So there's Ahina, Gabrielle, Malika, Laura, and Kirsty. Correct, Swinny?
Well, I'm looking at the Wikipedia, and that seems correct to me.
Okay.
Okay, yep.
So we've got like, do I go through them from visual perspective for the
a
audio listener?
Yeah, I think you should. I think you should give a visual
Oh
description
my god.
and a very brief description of their personality as well. So
No,
we
can you do it? You play the
assess-
game. I didn't play the game.
But I didn't talk to most of them properly.
Oh, this
How
is
the
tough.
people
man.
Point.
that haven't played it can't describe the personality.
Just describe it. Just describe it. You've got it open. I don't have the page open.
Oh
so just,
god.
just describe
Okay,
it.
well, let's go back and forth, Swinny. I'll do the first one and then you do the other one.
All right.
So I'll start 'cause again. The order that I've done it in is Ahina, Gabrielle, Malika, Laura, and then Kirsty. So we'll go in that order, Swinny.
right.
And I'll start with Ahina. So Ahina, she's one of your marriage candidates. She, to me, very short mini skirt, pink top, kind of cutesy star with glasses, nerd cutesy. Could imagine a movie about her. She looks not so good. She's got her glasses on. By the end of the movie, makeup, take the glasses off. She's a stunner. That's kind of style that they're going for.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
In terms of personality, what do we see on the wiki? She's a chef in training. She marches to the beat of her own drum. She has a can-do attitude.
I don't
And she
recall
loves
any of the
coffee.
characters having a drum, by the way. But yeah.
And she's from the oceanside village of Halo.
Wow,
So,
okay.
Hello.
all right, so that's me in the first one. You can cover Gabrielle, Swinny.
Okay, so
And
Gabriel.
by the way, we're going to get in so much trouble or potential trouble here. But yeah, let's go.
So Gabrielle is a young
I'm not saying anything.
witch with a distant relative who may just come as a surprise to the player.
She's
according
not
to the
really
wiki.
a witch, but anyways, yeah.
Well, if you didn't talk to her, how would you know?
No, I did. Okay, I actually talked to all of them. I
Okay.
talked to all of them.
So
yeah.
she is a veterinarian who tends to avoid people, prefers to live alone, and is based in the town of Callison with her cat. But despite her cool exterior, she's a very caring person deep down. So she's got a very rocker look, wearing a cool
Bit of an emo
cool
kid.
hoodie, streak of pink in her blonde hair. Yeah, that's Gabrielle.
Cool.
She was so with Ahina, by the way. I can give a brief description of them from my perspective. Ahina was like the cutesy kind of character, friendly, super friendly. Gabrielle was the complete opposite. She was really just discounted everything you said at the start. Didn't really want to talk to you.
I
all
think
that
you're
kind of
giving
stuff.
it away if you've actually talked to
I'm not, because you still don't know who it is.
Mike, let us finish the final three.
Okay,
and then
I won't say anything.
you can give your input on each one as you go through.
Okay.
So Malika. So Malika, she's got the kind of beach, hippie kind of vibe going, like,
She's from
very
the desert, by the way.
carefree, from the desert.
Not from the beach, the desert.
It's got like a purple. No, but I'm saying her style, her vibe. She's got
yeah.
the Hawaiian island style. What do they call that flower? Lei on her head. She's got a lei on her
She's meant to be
head.
Middle Eastern, by the way.
Yeah,
in the
she's
context
she's
of the
a
game.
lady of color. She loves the water. She loves animals.
does not love them.
flowers. and playing the lute.
Where are you getting this
Playing the
information?
lute.
She loves the water.
Hey, this is an official.
Yeah, it's in the
There's no
wiki. It's in
water.
the wiki,
There's no
man.
water in the official wiki. I've got it open right here.
No,
Mike,
yes, it is.
And Mike,
Yes, it is.
Mike, she tends to playfully tease the one she loves.
Oh.
So, what are your brief impressions without giving away if you picked her?
I thought she was cool. Pretty sort of normal character. Nothing weird about her. Nothing. She wasn't arrogant. She wasn't overly crazy sweet or anything like that. The water thing. She loves the water. I don't
loves the
remember
water.
that.
That's what it says in the wiki. You can't deny the wiki.
Fair enough. Okay.
All right.
Well, all
Swinny,
right, sure.
Laura, you got Laura next.
Okay, so Laura, there's not much in the wiki about Laura except some weird
It's
code.
awesome, actually.
Some weird code in there that's like, is she a robot?
No, it's actually they're missing some of the description, right?
Yeah, it's,
Well, I can tell you a bit about her. That's fine.
so she is a young girl with a memory disorder, which causes her to
Yes.
forget things, and she's from the town of Lubkuchen, and her brother is Tristan.
Lebkuchen.
And
Lebkuchen.
she looks almost like, I don't know, like Swedish or so.
Yeah,
Kind of
yeah.
in a
So
European.
I think
It's kawaii,
I think they
kawaii.
are going for that Swedish Germanic type of look in that town.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely, all the people there are from there. So she suffers from amnesia, so she just forgets you the next day.
So you actually know more about these characters than I thought.
Yeah, no,
Mike.
you know a lot actually.
No,
You
actually,
know a lot.
I let's just say I've spoken at length to most of them. So yes.
And I'll cover the last one.
I
So
don't
the
want to
last
spoil
one
anything,
is
but yeah.
Kersey. So Kersey, her vibe, her style is very like snow chic. You know, she looks like New Yorker in winter style.
The redhead.
Redhead. She's the
we need to
redhead.
point out she's the redhead. Yeah,
That's
the only
right.
redhead, I think.
She's the redhead.
Friends
She
with
likes to
redheads.
teach children in the town, and she is a passion for archaeology. But you know, she's from a cold weather place, and she's very intelligent and logical. So that's the 5
Well,
eligible bachelors, and we want to know
Bachelorettes.
bachelorettes, and we want to
Yeah.
know who you're giving your rose to.
So we're going to take guesses, are we?
Swinny, do you want to first say who would you
Yeah.
pick? Do you want to
Take-
just quickly say
Ooh,
who
who
you
I'd
would pick?
pick.
oh, you and yourself. Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Look,
Yep. I'm curious.
I
Let's
mean,
see.
I'm, you know, like, I'm a bit of a metalhead. Gabrielle does kind of, you know,
Okay.
kind of
yeah.
a bit there, but I don't know the,
It's your style.
maybe, you know, the cat thing. I don't know if I can do it. Seems like maybe she'll like a cat more than me. Because, so I kind of go between Gabrielle and, is it Malika? I think Malika looks
yeah.
pretty cool, you know, like she's got a cool style. So I don't know. I'm thinking Gabrielle.
Gabrielle. So for me, 100% Malika. Like, no doubt in my mind, straight away from the start. You know, I need someone in my
Wow,
life
okay.
who's like chilled, you know, more like hippie-ish.
Yeah.
I think it's bad if
She's pretty chill.
I think the rest just don't vibe with me. I get what you're saying about Gabrielle, but I think she'll be too into the same type of music as me. Too many metal bands. The same. All right, let's get to mine.
Yeah, you'll have pretty metal.
I
kids.
feel like I know the answer. I feel like I
Okay,
know
what's the answer? Well, okay, let's go. What do you guys
But can we play along? Can we play along and like, you know, guess as if we don't know? I feel like Swinny and I know the answer.
Well,
What do you reckon,
I
Swinny?
don't know.
Do you think you know the answer? I think I know what the answer is.
I think it's got to be. I think he went for Malika. I think it's got to be Malika.
Oh, so I thought I'm almost 100% sure he went for Gabrielle.
Wow. You're both way off.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
wait, stop.
I have a second choice. I have a second choice.
Now we have 3 left. This is not really part of it, but I'm just thinking on the fly. So now we have
Okay,
Ahina,
yeah.
who's the kind of like cutesy short skirt girl. Laura, she's the kawaii from, you know, Sound of Music style. And then Kersey is the smart
So
one.
I'm going to go Kersey. It's the second.
Oh, I was going to say Kersey as well. I'm going to
Okay.
go Ahina then.
You're going to go Hina. Wow, okay. So one of you is wrong, one of you is right.
Kersey's right, yeah?
No.
Oh, I'm right.
It's a Hina.
Whoa!
Now, here's,
He went-
wait. So here's why it's a Hina.
I've got to hold back words on certain
There was a
words.
Yeah, I know,
specific
I know. I'm
reason
like,
why.
Can I just say, maybe trying to re-describe her again? She's kind of like, you know, girls who go to Halloween parties and they want to dress up as like blank firefighter or blank policewoman, if you can imagine what the blank is.
Hey, she's got more personality than that.
Okay, go on.
Like, I may have been attracted by her ridiculously short skirt, yes, but that had nothing to do with the reason why I picked her as my romance option. Thank you very much.
Go on.
Okay, so the real reason why I picked her as my romancing option,
She was close
and this
to
is
you. Close to your
legit
father.
100. Well,
Which is the first one. She's the
that's
alphabetical order.
pretty much it. No. It's because she had by far the easiest favorite food to give her, which is coffee.
So it's low bar, the low bar.
It was the absolute low bar. So I figured, sit
it's
here?
live gaming imitating life.
Oh man.
So basically what had happened was I sat there and I went, okay, who are the possible bachelorettes? Okay, fair enough. These are it. And I looked through the one quality of life feature that the game does have, which I'll give it a big tick for, is it tells you what their favorite foods are and obviously what they hate. But more importantly, what their favorite foods are. And all the other ones had convoluted foods that I think you had to get the ingredients and then you had to mix them up and you had to create the dishes. All Ahina wanted was coffee. And it's like the easiest thing to make in the whole game. So I'm like, wow, that's a no-brainer. Ahina, it is.
Funny.
So basically what I then did is I went out to the shop. I bought 16 saplings of coffee and I created a coffee farm for the sole purpose. And by the way, the game absolutely crawls to a halt when you have 16 coffee trees, in case you're wondering. It's so unoptimized. It runs at like 4 frames a second or something. No. But it was worth it. It was worth it because I created this huge coffee empire just to appease and get into Ahina's. Well, she's not wearing pants, I guess.
All right, let's go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's just.
Well, that's the whole point of romancing someone, because eventually you're supposed to make.
I like what a stereotype type of a guy you are. That's the whole point of romancing
I'm not a stereotype. But
that's the only point.
No, well, in this game, that's the point. Okay, there's more to it than that. I don't think it
actually is.
There's more to it than that. Well, no, because you do. It's like you move in and then you have kids and stuff. But anyway, I'll get to that part in a bit. So I built this giant coffee empire, and then every day I was basically her coffee drug dealer, where I would just pump her full of caffeine, gave her multiple coffees a day, like 4 or 5 coffees a day. I'll just keep selecting the coffee. Here's a coffee. Here's a coffee. Here's a coffee. You don't actually have to do that, by the way. I think you can only give 1 gift a day to get the heart stuff moving. And like in a typical fashion in this game, after a few coffees, she started liking me a bit. And then a few more coffees, she liked me a bit more. And the next thing I know, she was full on into me. So I got her to five hearts. And then I went, okay, well, what's next? Oh, you need a bigger house. Of course, you got to get a bigger house. So in order to get a bigger house, you got to do a bunch of stuff. Upgrade your tools, do all of this, get these materials, spend 75,000 schmeckaroos, gold coins, whatever they use in the game. So I spent a bit of time. I don't know how long it took, but it took quite a bit of time to get to 75,000. It's not, because of the way the game works and because you have to randomly get those seeds, it's not like Stardew Valley where you can buy a really good seed and then grow it, get the profits, buy some other really good seeds, and keep repeating. Well, I had tens of millions in Stardew Valley, I think, by the end of the game when I just gave up because I did everything in that game at the time. Whereas in this, it's kind of random. You just have to find all these seeds and try to make money somehow, and it's difficult. But eventually, I got enough to upgrade that house, and it turns out that's not enough because you need to buy an even bigger house.
They always want more.
They
always want
more.
They always want more. They always want the bigger house. They want the Mercedes parked at the front. She wasn't happy with the single bed. That. And
are you going to be happy with a single bed?
Yeah, well, there was a couch in the house as well. I was happy to take the couch. I didn't see a problem with it, but apparently that's a problem.
But how are you going to get a baby harvest mic if you're sleeping on the couch?
Exactly.
Well, we would have used the couch. or the bed. I don't know. Does it matter? One of the two.
I don't want to sit on your couches anymore.
Point is, it would cost 350,000 coins to get the house upgraded. And I went, man, that's like hours and hours and hours. And what are you going to get out of it? A lifetime of a kid whining and Ahina being unhappy because I gave up on my dream of becoming the world's biggest coffee distributor or something, and I just wanted to become an unemployed writer or something.
So you
anyway,
gave up and you stayed as a
I
bachelor.
gave up.
Is there like
I stayed as a
is there
bachelor.
like a half
we
Tinder or something? You know.
Well, no. Her and I still, meet up on the side. She's still into me. I still provide her the daily 5 or 6 coffees. So, yeah, it was a cool romance while it lasted.
So wrapping up the review, what would you give this game out of 10?
Hang on, there's a couple of other really quick things I need to talk about. One, which is the animals. So the way you get animals is obviously you can go buy them, but you can also find animals in the wild. So at the very start of the game, the first animal I had was a brown bear, which I call Barry the bear. And then I had a cow, which was Cowie the cow, and they coexisted happily in my barn for some reason, even though Barry tended to eat a lot of Cowie's
Wait, was
feed.
it Barry, not Barry?
No, Barry the bear.
Okay, I was about to say, because you had Cowie the cow.
So I had that. I had Harry the hare. So I befriended a hare eventually after a few weeks and stuff, and Harry was my pet inside the house.
Wait, is that Harry or Harry?
Harry. Harry.
Okay. I'm getting some inconsistency.
Yeah, I know, it's so inconsistent.
No, it's the way I pronounce the words. It's Barry and Harry. And then I got Harold the horse. And by the end of the problem was it's really expensive to feed these animals. And I know that happens in real life, I'm sure.
So you're Tiger Kingdom.
Well, pretty much. I had to just, get rid of some of them. In fact, I got rid of all of them. Kingdom. I did. I had to get rid of. I just couldn't afford to. You can't afford to actually feed these animals. You can't. So the only one that was left was Harold the horse, because he had a practical use of, being able to take me across the map a little quicker. Although you can fast travel once you've actually completed a particular part of the world. So that kind of sucked, because I wanted to, have the animals and feed them and stuff, but it just became too cost prohibitive. So I had to get rid of them, which was a bit disappointing. So we talked about performance. Performance is pretty shocking, given that there's not a lot happening on the actual screen. And when I ended up with those 16 coffee trees for Rahina, it was shockingly bad. And there's this constant stutter with sound. It's really surprising how bad it actually runs, given that there's not a lot happening on the screen.
Very quick question on that. Can you change the camera at all, or is it a fixed camera?
No, you can. Okay. So you can either you can zoom in and out. Zooming out actually also drops the performance significantly, I found.
This game does not look...
It's the most unoptimized game I've ever played.
This game looks pretty bland and generic, so I'm surprised that it runs like crap.
Exactly.
To be fair, I'm not defending them, but sim games are actually deceptively hard to optimize well.
Yeah, but there's nothing actively really needing that much simulation throughout the day. And it's not even like, how do I explain it? So in Stardew Valley, characters feel like they've got their own life, and at any one point in time, based on whatever schedule they have, they will be at a certain place, and they'll walk around, and they'll go to sleep, and they'll go to the park, and they'll go do this. In this game, they literally appear and disappear in front of you.
Oh, wow.
So at 3 p.m., if at 3 p.m. they're supposed to appear in a particular spot, they just appear in that spot right in front of you. If you have to give them something, like if you got to hand in one of their stupid quests, and you're there at 3:01, and you're about to press the A button to interact with them, they're gone. They just disappear in front of you. It's really, really, really bad. Like, it's ridiculously bad what they've done with this game. And here's my biggest gripe with it overall. You can get something like Stardew Valley for 17 Australian dollars. This game is 70 Australian dollars. It's over 4 times the price.
70?
Yeah.
7-0.
It's a 7-0 game. It's a $70 game, and it literally is worse than a lot of mobile games that I've seen. And it is way, 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 way worse than something like Stardew Valley that's a quarter of the price and probably has 4 times the features. So in light of all of that, I give this, at the moment, and I'm still writing the official review, but at the moment it's sitting at about a 5, if that.
5 out of 10.
I think that's generous, it sounds
Not
like.
5 out of 5?
No, I feel like it might even be less. No, it's 5 out of 10 at best.
It's interesting. It's a full price game in Australia, but it's $50 US in the States. I just checked GameStop.
Which is $70 Australian, give or take, isn't it?
No, but like Switch games don't really go much more than $70 in Australia. It feels like it's a full price game in Australia, but it's a slightly discounted, but still not very discounted game in the States.
It's way overpriced.
So from
way
a
overpriced.
Vook's perspective, that would be 2.5 out of 5.
It might end up being a 2, to be honest. I'll have a think about it, and I've taken a whole bunch of notes, and I feel like I've done the game justice. So I wanted to play it properly. I wanted to go through the full season. I wanted to, well, thanks to Swinny pushing me towards it, really try to romance someone properly, so you can experience that. I've done all the different side quests. I've revived that Harvest Goddess. So I've gone through the story. The full storyline. I've done the mining. I've talked to every character. I've done literally, I think, everything you kind of do other than grinding unnecessarily for useless things at the end. And so I feel like I've really played the game properly. So, yeah, we'll stay tuned for the full thing. But from our perspective, at the moment, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10.
Okay. Good review, Mike. It was quite funny, especially the Bachelorette segment.
Well, that's thanks to you guys as well.
Very surprising result. I did not. She would have been like, definitely third or fourth.
I don't think she would have been. She wouldn't have probably been my primary one if it wasn't for the fact that she liked coffee.
Easy. And it was like real life. I love it.
Is this the most reliable way to romance someone?
Oh my god. All right. Well, let's wrap up the show. So as always, if you do want to reach out to us on Twitter, BigwigPod, or reach out to us at bigwigpod@gmail.com. As always, give us a like, a follow on YouTube and also on your podcast service of choice. And next week, we'll be covering our retrospective of Donkey Kong Country Returns, which is available on the Wii and the 3DS. So if you haven't played that, maybe have a crack and then hear our thoughts on it.
I think I will.
And also, we do know that Square Enix have announced their spring showcase. So there might be some cool announcements that come out of that. But with that, bye-bye.
See ya.
Ciao.